Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Endless Multiverse, episode 46, with your co-host Chainsaw and Andy, and our special guest, Omni Media, is here. We have one big thing, a piece of news to talk about. I'm not sure what it is. Something happened earlier this week, I think, with involving Marvel news. I think, or maybe getting that information wrong. I don't know. Of course,
it may have actually
DC.
been Valiant.
Okay, that's they're finally.
We're finally getting that Bloodshot sequel.
Yes, they're finally going with it. So we're talking all the DC news. We're going to go through the TV first, then we're going to dive into the movies. We're going to talk about each individual project. And if we have a little time, we're going to discuss potentially what project or character we were expecting in this announcement that didn't happen. So how's everybody doing on this week, getting into February now? How's everybody doing?
Could have been better. I mean, you know why? It was not the most pleasant Friday. But otherwise, I got my iced tea. I'm alive. I'm not freezing anymore because, good Lord, these last couple of days, like I don't know what's like. I'm not opening any windows, but yet like there's this breeze coming in here, and I don't get it. I'm like, this is impossible. But otherwise,
it's not real. It's in your head.
It's see, that's what I thought, because like I had a friend over and he was like, why are you wearing a blanket? You never wear a blanket. I'm like, bro, it's cold. He's like, no. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just losing my mind. But Omni, how are you doing today?
It's been a roller coaster of a week, but it's the weekend. I'm going to try my best to put it behind me for now.
Thank you. This makes perfect sense. I'm alive relates to this so much. I'm alive.
Yes.
Yeah, we're here.
That's usually my response.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think we just got to dive in, guys, to this DC news. And as always, we have to let this amazing individual start us off. Constantine, take it away.
All right, then. On with the show.
With the show. Indeed. So what's up first, Andy?
We have a shit ton of news to talk about. We're starting with the television aspect from the DC Studios rollout. So as you guys know, they're doing chapters instead of phases, and this will be called Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters. And this is only just the first half of Chapter 1. So there will obviously be more things to come out in later months, maybe at the end of this year or something. But we're gonna start with television because television is my forte. So first we have something called Creature Commandos coming to HBO Max, and this is the only animated series that was unveiled. I'm still been trying to figure out if this is actually like the animation style or if this is like from the comics. But James considered this is the first series that we're doing, and I've already written the entire series, and that is Creature Commandos. This is an animated TV series, and this is art from the animation company that's doing it. Creature Commando is based on the great team from DC. What we're doing with the DCU is we're having animation tied directly into live action, television, movies, and games, all intertwined within the same universe. We're going to cast actors that are going to be able to play characters in this, as well as in other things, some of which we've already cast. I ran also an episode of the show, and it's in production now. In this image, going from left to right, that's Rick Flag Sr. He's going to show it in other stuff. Then Nina Mursky, Dr. Sarcophagus, a Batman villain, Frankenstein, Eric Frankenstein specifically, the Bride of Frankenstein, who is the lead, and then finally G.I. Joe and Weasel. I look at it. I look at this and I go, it's just a Doom Patrol, but with a different name.
You're not wrong.
Omni, are you at all familiar with these characters, and what are you thinking about this show?
Yes, with a big old question mark. Rick Flag Sr., I know who that is, and Weasel, obviously. So his appearance in the Suicide Squad is not his first appearance in this universe then. By any stretch of the magic. Who knows how he got to where he was, but apparently he's got a very colorful past that we've never really considered. And I don't know, man. Aside from like the Bride of Frankenstein, who's looking kind of schmexy, not gonna lie. But and then her Eric Frankenstein, I have no idea who the rest of us are. Phosphorus sounds somewhat familiar, but aside from that, I am very disconnected from this. But I'm excited. As he said, this is more of like an appetizer of what's to come. Just be like, hey, here's something new, here's something interesting, something you haven't seen, while we prepare the big full course meal that is coming down the pipeline. I don't know. I mean, I'm very curious more than anything.
Okay, I mean, he's not wrong. She is kind of, sexy. Like now that I think about it. I mean, sometimes they draw animated characters really sexy. So,
Oh, Jesus.
Jordan, were you familiar with this team at all?
No, I'm not familiar with them at all, but it's not surprising because just like with the movie we'll be talking about in a bit, with a certain team that people were like, huh? Who? James Gunn was going to do this. Like, literally, the Suicide Squad already told you that he was going to bring in characters. He brought in Polka Dot Man. So, of course, he was going to bring in characters who were like, who? But the approach is simply, look, they tried to do a bunch of DC projects with characters we all knew and half failed, half succeeded. So, in this sense, let's try to raise up and get people to pay more attention to these other characters. Because Creature Commandos, no executive would have greenlit this project if James Gunn wasn't involved. Like if it was like, say, Peter Safran running DC Studios or Peter Safran and somebody else, Creature Commandos, none of these characters would have ever appeared in sort of capacity. And that animation style, if that's the actual animation style of the project, that tells you that's the kind of animation they're going to be using for their animated stuff. I'm excited because that is very detailed and I like the designs of the characters. So if this is the animation style that they'll continue, okay, I'm all for it. And the fact is, too, it's interesting because when we find out the voice cast, that's who will play them in live action. So that's going to be very interesting because that'll be the first time we hear of a project where the voice actors are going to end up playing the live action roles. Because as we know with, say, Ahsoka Tano from Star Wars, Ashley Eckstein is not playing her in live action. There's Rosario Dawson. They never made that transition. Of course, they did with Katie Sackhoff and Bo-Katan in Star Wars, but this is the first time I think that this has ever happened where the voice cast will play them in live action when they move over. That's kind of crazy to me. Andy, how do you feel about this? And is this get you more interested in potential future animated stuff? Because he kept saying animated is going to be all tied in. We're going to have more animated stuff. So what do you think about this?
All I keep saying is that this is just Doom Patrol, but with a different name. And I don't mean it in a mean way. For me, this seems like to be like the odd team out or whatever. And I like the style. If this is what they're gonna do for all the shows, and the thing like with animation, sometimes they all kind of like when they say they're all gonna be similar, sometimes they do kind of like fumble. But I do want to see how they're gonna play them out, how they're gonna who will get cast for what. I do think it's a shame because we were talking about this on the DC from Max podcast the other day that it sucks that this is gonna mean that a lot of actual voice actors are gonna be screwed in this because voice actors are already not getting the rough stick of the deal. So I hope whoever they cast, that these will be people that will also like their voices will fit for animation just as much as they do live action. Like someone like let me say Clancy Brown, like he could legitimately play Lex Luthor in live action, and he as well as he can do in animation because like there is something that he does with that voice, but like
he's the bloody Kurgan, man.
There you go. But someone like, for example, I mean, again, I'm sure the strategy will be like, why do you hate him? Like, I can't buy Chris Pratt as Mario. I can buy him as an actor in live action. But yeah, again, this animation looks very, very beautiful. I'm sure it's not finished yet, but I think like this looks new. It is not like because something that I don't know how you guys felt about it, but like when they did the New 52 style movies for animation, like leading up to Dark Apocalypse, like it was just bland. But then when they did the Tomorrowverse, it like it sticks out so much more. Like with the like for example the recent movie that's coming up, Legion of Superhero. Like it feels fresh. It feels like like it really feels animated, but also something that we haven't seen before. So
Right.
if this is what it's gonna look like, and again, damn it, I didn't even notice that she's kind of hot. So now now I'm like, who
Hey,
are they
I
gonna
mean,
cast?
you got her, and then you got Daddy Rick over there.
Yeah, look at
Like,
him with
come
the
on.
puppet with the chest.
He's like, I'm ready to lay some pipe.
Is G.I. Robot
But
supposed to be like a nod to
I
G.I.
don't know.
Joe?
I have no idea. But I did want to kind of come back to your point
Mhm.
because this is the first animated project they announced, right? And we were talking about how they're going to be casting. How would it play off with people playing them in the show and animation versus when, like you said, some of these characters will, mix and mingle with the live action stuff, with the games or whatever. Only like one of them wouldn't be in heavy makeup or just or maybe even CGI altogether. Like
Uh,
Flag's the only one that would actually probably need to actually be a person on set,
well, Bride of
depending on how
Frankenstein,
you
I
do
think
it.
Bride of Frankenstein, I think Weasel, because didn't who played Weasel
Sean
in?
Gunn,
Yeah, his
James
Oh my god,
brother.
his
Jameson's
brother, his
brother.
brother. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. So like he was there doing motion capture.
Mhm.
Bride of Frankenstein, I think you could have her be there and present. And
Right.
man, whoever they cast, like it's uh DC's about to get a little hotter, Frankenstein style. I'm trying. I mean, in theory, all of these characters could be there on set and be in motion capture, whatever. So, but it depends, I guess. Like I kind of would want Josh Keaton to get cast for one of these.
Josh Keaton.
Spider-Man.
Oh, it just didn't ring a bell for a second. I'm sorry.
You're like one of the biggest Josh Keaton fans that I know, Jordan. But yeah,
I'm sorry.
it's
Jesus.
fine. But yeah, I would love to see him. I would love to see him somehow. But let's move on unless we have any other thoughts.
Oh, we do have a super chat from Victor who says about this. Is these
Thank you
take
so
on
much.
Creature Commandos? Just thank you. With Sergeant Rock as the leader. I remember Carl Urban did a cartoon DC showcase a while back.
Who's
I mean,
Sergeant Rock?
I think he meant Rick.
Yeah, I think he meant Rick, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess Carl Urban could play. Like, I guess he could play. Him, I'm not sure. I guess it would just depend. But they said that Bride of Frankenstein's can be the lead. So
Yeah.
interesting on that. But what's next up, sir?
Well, next up we have a show called Waller that we heard was in development a couple of months ago, and it's going to be. I'm gonna read off what James Gunn said because I think he describes it way better than I do. Viola Davis is coming back as her character Amanda Waller. This is also going to have some of the Peacemaker team in it as regulars on the show. This basically follows up on Peacemaker. We have two great creative teams working on it: Crystal Henry, who was a writer on Watchmen, and Jeremy Carver, who created Doom Patrol. They have this incredible, marvelous story worked out that I think is really fantastic. And the reason we're getting Waller before we're getting Peacemaker season 2 is because, well, James Gunn is simply a little bit too busy right now. That was said from the event. Omni, are you a fan of Viola as Amanda Waller? And what do you think about the prospects of her having her own show?
I think it picks up since it is a bridge series to kind of connect the threads between what season 2 of Peacemaker is going to be and where we left off with, Task Force X being like exposed to the world and her being kind of carted off as kind of on display in that image they put out with it. I don't know. It's a very interesting thing. Like, what are they going to do with her? Because she's very much so in her own more backhanded kind of way. The DC's Nick Fury, but she's a little more vicious about her methods. But I don't know, man. Like, she's just great in the role. Like, it's one of those roles where, like, there's a couple of people in the DC universe that up until this point I wouldn't be like remiss if they recast, but like Viola Davis, I think she's just become that character, and I feel like she's like the RDJ of castings on this side of the fence. So I like her sticking around. One, she's just so seasoned. Why would you miss that opportunity? And her footprint isn't like, while she's like a very important piece to the DC universe, her footprint hasn't been too huge in the grand scheme of things in the pre-existing DC universe. So I think keeping her around is not going to be too much of a hang up for most people, I would imagine. I heard somebody, I can't remember where I heard this. I think it was actually Heroes Reforged actually brought this up when they rebooted the James Bond franchise, where they had Judi Dench previously with Pierce Brosnan as M, and she was just so good. She was M when Daniel Craig took over. I mean, it's kind of the same situation, similar roles.
Jordan, how you feeling about Waller?
Oh, I love this. So this was before James Gunn, after the fact, because this is something James Gunn should have fully addressed in the video. He had the time. He could have, even though he said after Flash, there's a reboot. It changes. Things change. He wasn't specific until he went on Instagram, and then I posted that screenshot. Then everyone started to post about it because they saw his response, saying that things change. Most things change. Not everything changes after the Flash film. And so Viola Davis, of course, is sticking around. And of course, they're going to probably just explain that there's some changes, but it's going to be kind of subtle because, yeah, she has some connection to stuff in terms of Suicide Squad, The Suicide Squad, and Peacemaker and Black Adam. I think, was that all the things she's been in? I think.
She was at I think the tail end of no, that was, I think that was Suicide Squad. Whatever, I can't remember. She had like one scene where she popped up as a post credits with
Suicide
Bruce.
Squad.
Oh, that was Suicide Squad where they had Ben Affleck, and they had the papers for the Justice League.
Yeah.
So I understand now that they're not completely rebooting, because it felt like besides the Waller project, a lot of this is a reboot, but they're going the route of, it sounds like 90% reboot in terms of, we're going to go different directions with characters. We're going to be getting new actors for a lot of characters. We're bringing forth a bunch of characters that were never in the DCEU, and the Flash film changes shit. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. Maybe one day I'll actually react and actually watch Peacemaker. Maybe. Who knows? And give
it a shot.
Yeah, and the point that I was reading on here, because we had talked about this before on the phone, Andy, about why can't James Gunn just do Peacemaker season 2 when it was announced. I just now thought about this when you're reading this off, that he's not writing it. He's not writing Waller. He wrote Peacemaker season 1. He would write Peacemaker season 2. He doesn't have time to do Peacemaker season 2, so he's handed off this Waller show to these two, Crystal Henry and Jeremy Carver, to take the Peacemaker characters, or at least some of them, and bring them over to Waller. He doesn't have to write it because he's focused on Superman and running a studio. So I get it. It didn't click in my head at the time. Oh yeah, that makes sense, because he would have to write all the episodes, and he's wrote Creature Commandos. He's writing Superman. He's probably writing other stuff or just getting things in place. He doesn't have time to write another show. So that makes sense.
I think he's going to pass on Peacemaker to someone else. So.
Probably somebody you trust. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, we'll see. Maybe I'll react to Peacemaker. Who knows? If I find the time. Andy, what do you think about it?
I love Viola Davis, and I had no doubt in my mind that she was going to come back. Like her show was the one thing that I was like, oh, that's not gonna go away. Like, and I think it's great that we actually finally get to see more of her. Like whether I was still kind of hoping that it would be like a Checkmate show. Maybe Checkmate will be in the show, but it's just not called Checkmate. But I really enjoy what Viola has done with the characters. So it will be fun to see what the show can do for her and expand on, because she's a huge player in the DC universe. So I think it's gonna be fun, and it's I think it's gonna be a very different type of DC show, because she's neither a hero nor a villain. So she's very much there in the middle. So it will be it'll be fun. Hopefully, and I know there was talks about that. Even though we know what's happened in 2025, there was talks about the possibility of um maybe Wall and Creature Commandos coming before that, which I think that's fine because after the Flash movie comes out, then it's open door. And I think these TV shows and animated shows, they're faster to film and get done as opposed to $200 million plus movie. But moving on to the next show,
I'm
and
excited.
that is Lanterns.
Yeah.
And Peter Safran, one of the co-CEOs, said the following: "Our next project is another television series. We call it Lanterns. It is starring two of our favorite Green Lanterns, Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. It's going to be with HBO Max as well as all of our series that we're going to talk about today. It's more of a true detective type mystery with our two lanterns, a terrestrial-based mystery." And Gunn goes on to say that leads into the overall story that we're telling throughout the different movies and television shows. We find this ancient horror on Earth, and these guys are basically super cops on present Earth. Safran goes on to say the story is going to weave back and forth between the films and the television shows. Peacemaker is a good example of how that works, and that's what we're going to do with this big overarching story that we're telling. Now, when me and Jordan did our live stream on
Tuesday,
this week has been so long. When we did our live stream on Tuesday, at the time we didn't know definitively what was going on, but this show has replaced Greg Berlanti's other Green Lantern show that was going to star Jon Stewart. So we're still getting a Green Lantern TV show. They just dropped the green and just added an S. Lanterns. It's very Arrow. It's very Arrow, like Arrow.
that's a good comparison.
Well,
it's very Arrow.
This is also the image that they used, and one key thing is only one of them is green in this image.
That are you suggesting that Jon Stewart's not going to be a Green Lantern?
I mean, I'm saying his panel isn't green.
Are you saying
his emblem's not correct?
So you're saying he's a Yellow Lantern?
He's got the yellow brand on his chest. We'll see.
I didn't even think about that.
They did say that it's going to be about these two lanterns.
I think
it's from the Green Lantern Earth 1 graphic novels. They're actually pretty good. I like them. So I will check them out if you get. I don't know. Again, I don't know if this is if it's necessarily going to be what they're basing it off of. I was talking to another journalist friend of mine, who, whenever sometimes they use various photos in the press and whatnot, sometimes they do it because these are some of the most like photorealistic artwork that they want to provide with the press. So I don't know necessarily if it means that they're gonna use it for the show. But have you read these two, by the way, Omni?
No, but I've read about it. I haven't actually read it though. That's
kind
of how I
exist. I think you like it.
I read about comics more than I actually read every page.
Fair enough. Are you excited for it? We've been waiting for a Green Lantern TV show since 2019. So, we'll see.
I like this comment. There might be multiple Lantern Corps in this because it's called Lanterns. Interesting. Yeah. So,
but we knew that. That's always been the case in the DC universe.
Well, I know, but
as far as the story, at least,
yeah, it could be if we were out of the gate, just boom.
But Ani, what do you think about it? Are you excited we're finally getting a Green Lantern TV show after having waited another 4 years for it?
Yes, I don't care. Just give it someday. Green Lantern deserves
someday
some freaking light. Bring him out of the darkness.
What do you think about the fact that they're taking True Detective as an inspiration?
It would matter if I've seen it.
Okay.
I
haven't seen it either.
Got detectives. I get that much, but I've never actually watched True Detective.
They're true,
So then is this fiction detectives?
This is fiction detectives.
Oh my god.
These are fiction detectives.
They're fictional? Jordan, we've talked about the Green Lantern TV show since like last spring. Are you Are you excited for another Green Lantern TV show?
all I'm asking is please actually do it. I am tired of hearing about Green Lantern show. We're developing Green Lantern show with a couple lanterns at different time periods. Oh wait, never mind. We cast people, then we're not doing it. We're gonna retool to Jon Stewart.
Eight script that got thrown up for tax write-downs.
Yeah,
I'm not kidding you.
It's so stupid. Now, in terms of the artwork in regards to potentially he's a Yellow Lantern, which I didn't even think about. I mean, I think it's probably just the image they wanted to use and kind of contrasting, because if it's two green images, it might be blended in too much. However, the idea of Jon Stewart being a Yellow Lantern and maybe by the end of the season he gets his Green Lantern or something, like maybe something happens, that'd be a cool arc to follow.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole thing about there being an ancient evil, I like that wording because it could be anything. It could be referring to Parallax, which is something me and Andy had talked about on the stream on Tuesday, as what is this ancient evil? Could it be? Could be Parallax. Could it be relating to the anti-life equation? Dark side? Potentially. Obviously, that's not like saying Dark side's showing up in the chapter 1. But they could
Vandal
establish.
Savage?
They could say Vandal Savage. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities they could go with in regards to an ancient evil. And they said this is going to tie into major shit. So whatever this is going to be probably the lead up to like a Thanos in the MCU. This could be like lead up to the big threat in the Justice League movie. So I'm excited for this, as long as they actually make it. I'm tired of getting promises and things, or here what we're doing. I think they're actually going to do this stuff. I think they're actually going to do it. I'm just tired of the old regime kept like giving us little nuggets like, oh, we're doing it. Oh, we're doing it. Oh, we're changing it. We're still doing it. Oh, tired of the nonsense. And I'm glad that James Gunn called out the past regime. This thing was a fucking.
He was angry.
He was brutal.
He's like, this thing's a fucking train wreck. And he said it.
He threw himself under the bus too. I was like, hey, I took part of it. So. Yeah, but like it's because that's what happened. But then I like how in the opening of his video, he kind of addressed it without going too far. But he was like, things kind of all over the place. It's like you're actually not wrong. But we got a lot of cool shit from that era. But a lot of bad shit happened in the process. They were just over analyzing shit. They just gave shit away. We got some cool shit. It's time for the new era. But I'm excited for this. Andy, what do you think? Are we actually going to get this? Are we actually going to get this show? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I got. I don't know if you saw it, but when we did it on, when we did a show on Tuesday, so someone decided to call me out in the stream of like that, because I had reported on right before Christmas. I reported on that. There's a rumor that the Green Lantern show had been canceled. I went to HMI Warner Bros. TV and they were like, nothing has changed. It's still happening. And then someone's, now that we know the correct writer is gone, they were like, Anna, you're twisting their words. And I got hella mad. But I'm excited that a show is still happening. I'm still happy that John is going to be one of the leads. And yes. I mean, he knows how to act like a snake anyway, so but what I would say is I love Jon Stewart, so I'm glad he still gets to be part of the show. It's gonna be to see what Hal and John will do together. This will be the first time we see them in live action, so that'll be great. Now it's funny because in the video presentation, James talked about it as an HBO show, so I wonder if they will do what they do with House of Dragon, because like don't they, Jordan, correct me if I'm wrong, don't they show they air the episode and then at 9 p.m. they drop the episode on HBO Max?
It airs at the same time it premieres on HBO Max, so they put it out at the same time, so you don't have to subscribe to the cable network to watch the shows. So you can just pay for HBO Max, and that's, I think, a smart way to go back, because they did that same thing with HBO Now and HBO Go back before HBO Max became a thing, where you could literally just pay for HBO Now, which was the streaming service for HBO, instead of having to pay for the cable, because HBO Go was like their digital version of paying for the cable service. And now it's just HBO Max, pay the $15, and then at 9 o'clock when House of the Dragon or Last of Us or whatever show drops, the same
It's
exact
there.
time. It's automatically put, and sometimes it's put there a few minutes early. So I'm always checking on that. But yeah, that's how they do it. So yeah, in your whole point, they said that he mentioned HBO. He didn't say HBO Max like some other stuff. He said HBO. Like, I mean, it might warrant that because it might get a bigger push because if it airs on HBO, that might like really push it further. I mean,
well, if you remember the words of our favorite axe-wielding madman, they have budget limitations for anything streaming only.
oh, so if it goes to airing, it'll warrant the
Yeah.
cost if they actually put it on HBO
This would
too.
be this would be the second DC shows in Watchmen, I think. So like,
Mm-hmm.
how fun would it be? Like, just all of us getting together on Sundays watching Lanterns. Lanterns. It's very Arrow. Like, I cannot stress enough. This film, when I started time, I'm like, so Great Planet is leaving the show. Are you sure about that? Because this sounds like a very Arrow thing. But I'm excited. I'm excited to see who they cast. Apparently, they're already talking to actors, so they probably
Ooh.
have there's probably someone writing
Oh.
the show right now.
I'm getting a call from HBO. Let me answer. They're calling me for Hal.
Okay. Oh, okay. Then we let you talk to them. So what I we don't want to bother you to call.
Don't bother me.
But let's go to the next show, which Jordan had kind of predicted in 2 weeks ago.
I sure did.
And that is Paradise Lost. According to Peter Safran, it says this is a Game of Thrones type story about Themyscira Paradise Island, home of the Amazon and the birthplace of Wonder Woman. This involves all of the darkness, drama, and political intrigue behind the Society of Only Women. James Gunn also said it's an order of how the Society of Women came about. What does it mean? What are the politics like? What are the rules? Who is in charge? What are the games that they play with each other to get to the top? I think it's really exciting. Simon says the event really takes place before Diana's birth. So we had Smallville, a Clark Kent prequel show. We also had Krypton. We had Gotham before Bruce Wayne became Batman, and now we have Paradise. We have Themyscira with
We
Paradise
also had
Lost.
Pennyworth, the story of Batman's butler.
Rest
And
in peace.
CW's failed attempt at Amazon, which was going to be a Wonder Woman prequel as well, back in the Arrow day. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Omni, what do you think about a Game of Thrones type Wonder Woman show, focusing on Themyscira?
I'm all for it, man. I love that I just love that society. I love their mythos. And I'm just wondering, like, how much are they going to steep into that? Because there's a lot of larger than life stuff that is wrapped in just the backdrop of Themyscira itself, where it came from, what originated it, their role on the planet, why they retreated from mankind to begin with. And yeah, they're a warrior, badass women race, man. They're gonna, if they're like throwing shade at one another, it's gonna be some pretty intense stuff.
Constant fights.
Maybe some gods in there. Who knows?
Yeah, I think we're gonna get gods. Yeah, I think so.
Jordan, how are you feeling about Paradise Lost?
It is honestly the best way they could go about this because this is their way of involving characters around Wonder Woman without actually having Wonder Woman yet. Because right now things are still up in the air about Gal's future in DC. James had talked with her, and the last time we've heard James meeting with people like Henry Cavill and Dwayne The Rock Johnson, you got those black and those black and white images of text saying they're done. And so with that not happening with Gal, that means that potentially they could bring Gal back in a couple of years. Apparently she's in Shazam 2. We'll see about that. I think it's pretty much confirmed. Apparently some footage came out that confirmed that. But I think this is interesting. This is the smart direction because right now they're trying to focus on mostly characters that we haven't seen in DC, like past stuff or new actors. So this is a way of focusing more on Themyscira and building one out because let's be honest, Themyscira was covered a little bit in Wonder Woman 1. We got more of that obviously in Wonder Woman 1 than Wonder Woman 2, but we don't know we didn't really learn anything about how deep that goes, like how their society works and all that. It just kind of like just bits and pieces. So this is a way to really dive in. And honestly, too, as we're talking about the Lanterns, this could be another good HBO, like just have it as an HBO show, because they could really go all out with the budget. And I think you're right. I think Gods will be involved, Hades, all that. I feel like they will be involved in some sort of way, because I feel like they're going to really expand on the gods, because it's gods and monsters is the chapter. So I think you would want to focus on how they're deeply tied into that. And so this is smart. This is really smart. Andy, how do you feel about this?
I've been telling people for years that we need a show like this. I've been saying for years, like, how have we not made this? It's unbelievable, and I'm glad we're finally doing it. I'm excited. I know one thing that some of us had concerns with is the idea of, because there's some controversial stuff about Game of Thrones, and I hope they kind of just leave that out, because I don't think anyone wants to see SA or the R word stuff happen on the show. This should be a show about empowerment and also about how to get to that empowerment. So, yeah, I look forward to see what characters are going to cast. I mean, Hippolyta is likely going to be there, maybe Artemis. Oh my God, what's Wonder Woman's aunt, the sister of Hippolyta, the one who was in the first movie.
I forget her name.
Entropy?
I don't remember.
Okay, but yeah, I look forward to see who the creative team is going to be that they tap. There's some amazing female creators out there that I think would be amazing for the show. So I hope that, and then also airing on airing on HBO, I think also would be great, because then we could have them get a great budget, because that island needs to be real. Like, they need to get a good set, a good location. So I'm excited for it. We're almost done with television, and so we have one more, and this is one I kind of knew about, so I'm sorry, guys, but Booster fucking Gold is coming to HBO Max finally. Saffron says, a total fan favorite, as you know, a loser from the future who uses basic future technology to come back to today to pretend to be a superhero. James Gunn says, I think of it as basically the story of a superhero's imposter syndrome. How do you deal with that? It is about how he tries to use the future technology to be loved by the people of today, and what is really at the base of that. It's a character story that's going to be a very different type of show, and we're talking to an actor about it right now. Omni, are you a Booster Gold fan?
Not particularly. Never been one that's been right up my alley, but they can always sell me on it if they get somebody good and it's fun, and I don't know, I could be there for it. But he's just, every time he's popped up in something, I've just like it's like,
where's the last time you saw him?
85% of the time.
Where's the last time you saw him?
Where's the last time I saw him? You know the last time I saw him.
Legends?
Yeah, I mean, that was the last time I think any of us saw it, really.
It was the he had a small appearance in Flash. That Flash cameo, remember?
Yeah,
it's not a cameo, it's a photo.
It's a cameo.
But no, it's not a cameo, because I was furious. I was almost telling Eric, like, how dare you put Booster in there but not actually give us Booster in the Flash. So Jordan, are you excited for Booster Gold to finally get his own TV show?
I cannot wait for Chris Pratt as Booster Gold. So this is also not surprising at all, because I knew this character was going to be showing up, and I honestly was like, it's probably going to be announced with the announcement. They're probably going to announce Booster Gold, because everyone has been asking, where's the Booster Gold project? Are they making Booster Gold? And we had heard they were developing over the years. Like, oh, we're working on some Booster Gold, maybe, maybe not. But now it's like, okay, James Gunn's going to do it. Of course he is. Of course James would do this. I'm not surprised. And the fact that they're already talking to an actor, I'm not surprised by that either. I don't think it's Chris Pratt, but everyone's like thinking Chris Pratt. I just feel like it's too on the nose after he's already played Peter Quill. I don't see that happening. But
I do like the Glenn Powell fan cast.
Yeah, well, people also like him for Hal, but I think he'd be great for Booster Gold.
I think I would, if I had to pick him for somebody. I think I don't quite see him as a Hal. So don't know. He's just got, especially after Maverick, I think he's just got that smug, you just want to like hit him in the mouth attitude. And that's Booster Gold.
Yeah.
See, for me, I think he looks like he looks very kind, like he has like very sweet eyes. So like Booster needs to be. Look at this grin. Look at this jokester.
He's an ass though.
Wait, actually, hold on. I know who can play him. I know who can play him. I mean, he almost has the hair.
That's perfect.
I've been talking to some people at Warner Brothers for a few years and saying that they need to do Booster Gold. I'm like, y'all, that movie script, do something with it, like turn it into a TV show or something. And like people are like, you're not the only one who wants the Booster Gold thing. So now they're finally doing it. I'm so happy. I cannot wait because they were supposed to do a Booster Gold TV show in 2010, 11 for the Sci-Fi Channel. But apparently that script was really bad. And then we got Booster on Legends Tomorrow for like 5 minutes because they were trying to bully the CW into renewing the show. They're like, we're gonna put Booster Gold on the show so that you guys will renew us. It's not how it works. But I'm glad Booster Gold is finally getting a show, and also it being on HBO Max. That means that we can have something. I want to hear Booster Gold fucking cuss. Like, it will be so much fun if they do that. And then, of course, I want to see who they're going to get as Skeet. That will be fun, because Skeet's got to be on the show. If you have Booster, you got to have Skeet. And maybe we'll see Ted Cord. Ted Cord is a huge part of Booster's history. Booster Gold Blue Beetle show.
I wouldn't be...
The Cords are involved in the Blue Beetle movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, so which we will talk about the movies in a bit. So, well, before we head into the movies, any final thoughts on television, gentlemen? Omni, any final thoughts?
Not really. What about the Superman and Lois comments? If we want to be on topic, but kind of not.
We will get into when we get to we have some graphics later on we're going to show, so we will get to Superman and Lois later on. But
I'll hold it.
Any final thoughts?
No. Nope.
Okay, then take it away.
So we're jumping into the movies, guys, and the first one we've been waiting for some more news on this since we got news earlier. We're talking Superman Legacy. So Safran was quoted saying this is really the launch of the DCU. The first two projects are an amuse-bouche, or how you pronounce that, for what's coming up with Superman Legacy, like the whole talking about. I think they Creature Commandos and Waller, and then we're getting Superman Legacy. It seems like that's the order that was announced. Yep. And of course, James is writing it. They're hoping he directs it. I do think James Gunn will end up directing this movie. I could be wrong, but I feel like with Safran saying that, we hope he will direct it. I feel like they're having discussions on how that's going to work with his other jobs. And Gunn went on to say that, we were looking at, the saintly people, and Superman's among them. And there are really terrible people, terrible villains like Early God or the Joker, and then there's everybody in between. So there are these shades of gray which allow us to tell complex stories. And then, of course, the release is July 11, 2025. The only release date we have in regards to DCU. Of course, we got the announcement of the Batman Part 2. Omni, what are your thoughts on Superman Legacy? And are you excited, or are you kind of nervous? Because this is literally going to be the true start, as James said, to this DCU. What are your thoughts?
I think this is the one that's going to be make or break, I think, for a lot of people. Of course, given what's come about, again, it's going to be a few years before we won't ever get to this point, but a few years before any of the baggage that has been lifted around for these last couple of years gets slowly dropped off. But I think that's going to be the one that's either going to win it over for people or not. So there's a lot riding on that, and I think that's one of the reasons why I would imagine they would be more hopeful for him to write and direct it, so that vision is clear, so nobody comes in and maybe steers the ship the other way. Have the guy that's literally steering the entire ship get this linchpin set in place. I'm excited. I know they're going for the more classical route, which is one of the things that I think is made a lot of people really endeared to Superman and Lois. is kind of, I think we're, for the most part, because this isn't everybody likes different things, but like, I think for the most part, I think we've grown past we need yet another jaded, gritty Superman. And I'm not saying that was Henry Cavill, but that was the world he lived in. And he was very much a gray area that was still trying to understand where that line is. And this is a Superman, like in the comics, that's going into this world blindly optimistic, because that's just his character. That's how he contrasts with all the other heroes. He's naive. He believes in the good in people, even the worst people out there. That's why he doesn't kill them when he could. He is like, even if there's a chance that maybe they can change their ways, I'm going to give them that chance. Sometimes that causes more harm than good, but that's just how he was raised. And that focus on, his human upbringing and his ties to Krypton. And then I assumed when we got the title Legacy, my brain immediately went to like he would maybe be already established, because we also got the Supergirl announcement that maybe he'd be an older Clark. But a lot of the buzz is that we're going to get like maybe like 25-ish in that range. So I don't know what they're doing, but I'm really excited for it, and I'm really curious to see who they're going to cast. And if this is the route they're going to go, I kind of understand cutting certain chords in that they have, but yeah. What about you guys?
I'm really excited. I thank you, Kenneth, for the super chat. I think he's got a good point here about he hope it's good. Obviously, it's like I said, it's the linchpin. This is make or break it. How would we feel if we got a more classic Superman and classic suit in terms of trunks and all that? I mean,
is Trunks? Is that the only thing where because I was like classic suit is we're just talking about Trunks? Then is that what makes it classic?
I'm guessing that's what he's referring to, because I mean, James Gunn did put out that poll as a joke to talk about the trunks or no trunks, but I mean, more modern Superman doesn't have the trunks, and classic did, and it was a certain color palette, like a certain blue, and
it's like a baby blue almost.
Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna go that far, but I feel like it might be. I think it'll be more of an homage. But I mean,
I think the cape will be very baby red, like it will be very clear red. For me, here's the thing. I stopped giving two shits about the trunks for Superman when I turned 13, because then I realized, why the fuck are they wearing trunks anyway? It looked cool when I was a kid, but now I'm just like, I'm sorry, I think it looks dumb. Like no one in Marvel has it anymore. So don't think DC needs it either. So I'm excited that this will be the first movie. I'm curious about what legacy means, because I remember which of my friends said this to me, but he made a good point. Like legacy makes him think about like if Clark was raising a family, but obviously this Clark is not raising a family. He's 25. Fuck, he's younger than I am at this point. So I'm excited. I would prefer if James just wrote it and if someone else wrote it. Not that I don't think James could do a good job. I think he could do a good job, but there's also something to me that's like, oh, he gets the big job, and who does he hire to write the Superman movie? Himself. So but either way, I'm excited to see his take on Superman, and and also like I'm just happy to have another Superman movie back in the summers again. Like that was one of the fun things about Man of Steel, was that it was a summer movie, and I think Superman is like that should be a summer event. So I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, I agree with what you guys said, that it's this is the make it or break it situation. This film has to succeed, because if this is a disappointment, or if this fails, then I don't know what you do at that point. Like, I don't know what can be done. Like, this movie has to start off on the right foot in terms of the new continuity, because if not, I don't know how you continue. Like, obviously they might still try to push forward, but I mean, Superman is one of their top two characters. It's Superman and Batman. And if you don't get this right, then it's going to make it even worse for the people that hated them for kicking out Henry Cavill. It's going to make it worse because the movie sucked. So they're going to, and people are obviously, there's some people that's going to hate it anyways because it's not Henry. But I'm hopeful that this is going to be good. And whether James directs it or not, I think the point Omni made about that he is steering the ship. So the idea of him setting the tone, but James also mentioned how everything's going to have different tones anyways, in regards to each project's going to be differently in tone because of the characters and the stories. But Superman has to be handled correctly, because this is the make or break. Like, this is the moment. If you fail, then DC is, I don't know what you do with DC at that point if this thing just doesn't perform well.
You can only go so far just like using Batman as a crutch.
Exactly.
Well, let me ask everyone, like, what like, when we say that it has to succeed, what does that look like? Like, are we talking $1 billion success? Are we talking more like of a critical reception?
For me, the executives, they care. That's the money. For me, it just has to be good. It could bomb as long as it's good. This doesn't have to be and entertaining, hopeful, all the things that Superman needs to be. Even if it's hokey, even maybe there's some issues. I don't need this to be like, the next Scorsese film. I don't need all the critics like giving it like
Scorsese doing Superman. That would be something
like full marks or anything like that. Just be a good Superman movie.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. That's all I need. That's all I want.
Well, I think in terms of success, it has to meet the three quadrants. It has to be successful with the audience in regards to their response when they come out of the theater, the critics, and the box office. If it fails on two or even all three, it's bad. If fans come out opening weekend saying it's shit and they don't like it, or they're mixed, that's not a good sign. If the critics are mixed, that's not good either. And if the box office say the film costs between 125 to 150 million, I feel like they're not going to try to overly, because like the whole point is to kind of bring down the cost. If the film ends up making 500, 600 million on a 125, 150 million dollar budget, that's seen as a win in a sense, but the more the better. But it really depends on how the critics respond and the fans, because let's be honest, the last number of DC films have been hit or miss, and they have to start getting a better track record with all that. But we'll see. I mean, we still have time. Obviously, they have and the fact is they're giving it plenty of time to develop these stories before they go into production, so they're not rushing. That's a good thing.
They're probably not gonna start filming until next year. Like,
I do
think we will have our Superman by the end of the fall.
I wouldn't be surprised at Comic-Con they bring him out. If James Gunn brings him out.
You know what? At this point, like, I rather that they don't do it at Comic-Con, because then I feel like they feel they have to rush something. I rather like just take your time. If you haven't signed on the actor by July, reveal at a later point. Like, also Comic-Con is getting exaggerated at this point. So I'm like, for me, like, I will wait for as long as it needs. If it means that we get the perfect Superman, just please, dear Lord. Mm-hmm. Don't cast Jacob Elordi just because he's tall, dark, and handsome. Like, listen, y'all. Listen, Euphoria fans. Listen, I feel you. He is messy as Nate, and he's a good actor. But honey, Jacob ain't no Superman. I think there's a different role he can play in the DC universe, but not he is no Clark. Also, he's too model looking. I'm sorry. I don't want Superman to look like he's on the top of insert name of Men Model
Billboard
magazine.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what models do anymore.
Yeah.
What's the next project?
The next thing is our Batman, and it's not just Batman. It's The Brave and the Bold with Damian Wayne. Now, obviously, this is not Robert Pattinson, not Ben Affleck, and this is going to be focused on both Bruce and Damian, and this is their first time meeting. And this is based off of the Grant Morrison comic run, which is one of Gunn's favorite Batman runs. And they're putting it all together right now. And Safran said this is going to feature other members of the extended Bat family, which is great news, because people were worried that we were only going to get Damian and Bruce. We weren't going to get anybody else. Now, obviously, this is not confirming Dick Grayson or Jason Todd or Tim Drake or Barbara Gordon. But I feel like we're probably going to get some of them. I feel like they're going to establish where Gotham is right now, and Damian coming in the mix. And I'm assuming this means we're going to meet Talia al Ghul. We're going to probably meet Ra's al Ghul. I mean, there's a lot of potential characters we can meet in this first film. And I think it's pretty smart because, as it was mentioned, we've already had Ben Affleck. We've seen not too much, but we've seen a bit of his Gotham and what occurred. Of course, in terms of Robert Pattinson, he's just starting out. So a starting out Batman in the DCU would have been too conflicting, because how do you make that different than what Robert Pattinson's already doing and Matt Reeves is doing over there in the Elseworlds? So this makes sense to have an older Batman with Bat family and him meeting his son. Omni, how do you feel about this? Do you think they made the right decision with going the route of an older Batman and a more established Gotham and the Bat family? Or do you think they should have went the route of maybe not an origin, but a younger Batman, like with a younger Superman? What do you think?
Before it was announced, I was kind of expecting, like, since this was a soft reboot of the universe, we'd be getting younger, fresher.
Mm-hmm.
Still, like, let's say he's in his 30s. That's still younger than Ben Affleck's Batman was. So we could still get some mileage out of whoever they do get, because Damian's not that old, and you don't have to have that connection happen that far back, or you can have that connection happen earlier on in his career. Obviously, because he has a lot of run-ins with Raish and Roz, whatever his damn name is.
It's Raish. It's Raish.
They can never decide on what way to say it, so I don't know.
People in my community, we say Raish. Roz just sounds too like. Well, it's not as bad as what they did in Batman Begins. Like, oh, Mr. Wait, I believe this. How do you say it? Mr. Raz Al Ghul? I was like, this woman did not just say that. I almost I flickered with my eyebrows.
But I am really excited about this because I know he had a hard introduction, but Damian is my favorite Robin. Like, as the name Robin, my favorite that has donned that mantle. Everybody else that's come before, I love them, but I love them more as who they become rather than as Robin. Because, like, Damian being his son, I feel like that just means more, while Dick growing beyond Bruce and growing beyond that connection eventually, like, still having that, father-son dynamic that they have, like, that tension still always carries forward, but Dick really becomes himself when he's Nightwing. So anytime I think of Dick Grayson, like, he's my second favorite character in the entire universe. But like, when I think of Dick Grayson, I think of Nightwing. So I like that we have that opportunity to kind of have our cake and eat it too. And we're talking about the cake, which is Nightwing booty, and we're going to be getting it.
I was hoping you were going to make that joke. I was I'm like, let it be first. Let it be first. Are you a fan of Grant's run? I don't. Which book are they basing this off of? Like what is it called? They just say Grant Morrison's Batman. I'm like, but which one is it?
I think James Gunn posted photos of what comics he was referring
dropped
to.
them, but I don't remember. I didn't look at the list, but he's because one of the big thing and what I love that he's doing with this is citing the sources where this has come, the deal and the cooperation and collaboration that he's got with Jim Lee right now, and making sure that they're announcing what books they're basing the films on and ensuring that those books are back in print. And they've all fresh prints of all these runs that he dropped in the past week went live and are sold out.
Yeah, that's
which is insane.
I'm so happy for everyone buying comics again like this.
And it's also good because it also goes against the narrative that no one cares about Gunn's DC. Okay, sure. People are buying out comics like crazy.
I also hope this will encourage people to go watch some of the animated movies that exist based on. I mean, there's the amazing All-Star Superman animated movie. It's very emotional.
So good. And that movie made me cry.
Oh, there we go. Aiden, thank you so much, Aiden. His debut comic was called Batman and Son, and there was an animated movie called Son of Batman.
Yep.
Which was really good.
Yeah.
And
they did pretty good with Damian in the animated. I thought overall
he grew on me. Here's the thing. I hate Damian Wayne with a passion. Like, anytime someone even has mentioned put Damian Wayne on anything, I'll be like, it's like you're asking me to slap you. But I I'm ready to be won over. I believe in James Gunn, and I may actually check out the comic. Again, I'm just so happy people are buying comic because that means that the comic teams are getting royalties. It's amazing.
See,
And
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
To piggyback off of that is like I feel like one of the things that's kind of held me back. One, like before all this stuff, there's just always so much to consume as far as like a backlog goes. I did get a little bit of that reinvigoration with the early New 52 because I was like, okay, we're gonna restart, and they made that false promise they always make is like it's gonna be a continuity. You're gonna know what you need to read, and then it just went all to crap again as it usually does. But like stuff with like Marvel and stuff, like the titles and all that stuff loosely allude to kind of what they're based on, but they just kind of it's its own thing. So if these are more heavily inspired, it just motivates me more to actually go and actually read that book because that book or more elements of it might be on the screen. Like when I finished Sandman, I got all of Sandman because it's an adaptation of Sandman.
Can you try to convince Jordan he needs to watch Sandman? He's not listening to me.
You son of a bitch.
It's not that I'm not listening. I'm busy. Plus,
No,
I
you're
might
not.
have to find another fucking job. So there's that. So there's a lot going
Sorry.
on. But I have too much shit. I mean, and
Okay, how about this? One
Mhm.
episode a week. You could do one episode a week.
I could try.
It's such a beautiful show. It's mind-boggling to me that it took so long for them to renew the show. But yeah, well, what's the 80s show got renewed today.
That 90s show.
The 90.
Calm down. That 90s show, man. Come on.
See, listen, I didn't grow up with it. My sister was the one who grew up with the original show a little bit. But
That 80s show was a train wreck of a failure.
Ooh. You know who was on that
That
show?
existed.
You know who was on that show?
wait, is it a joke or was it
No.
actually a show?
Yes. Do you know
Okay.
do you know who was on that show? Kyler Lee, aka Alex, from Supergirl. She was on that show as like she had like a spiky afro or whatever.
Oh shit!
That's her.
I didn't even know that was. Oh my god, that show.
Ooh.
I didn't. I thought you guys were trolling me. I'm like,
No.
wait.
No,
this is
they. When 70s ended, they immediately was like, we got it. Let's try it again. But they didn't. There was no ties. Whereas 90s show is these characters are older and it's their kids, Red and Kitty, or grandparents now.
Yeah.
80s show was in a completely different part of the country, new cast and nothing.
Wasn't there a character that
And it
was
just wasn't
related?
funny.
Wasn't there a character that was related to Eric?
That
or
was
something?
retroactively added, I'm pretty
Oh,
sure.
okay.
But yes.
Oh, we're going off topic.
Anyway.
No,
your
I'm,
thought-
no. I'm excited. I'm excited to see the rest of the Bat Family. If they could, I wouldn't mind if Brenton Fraser could come back as this universe's Nightwing, because James was open. He's open to actors from previous iterations, and to go piggyback off what Omni was talking about before, the cake to end all cakes. I would just want to see one of us pay Brendan really well. Like, we're gonna pay you really, really well, but in exchange, can you do some butt squads? And like, but how many millions? Okay, I'll do it. But also, I'm gonna say this just once. We need to stop fan casting a bunch of white boys as Damian Wayne. He's mixed race. I'm getting offended that everyone's bringing up the kid from Umbrella Academy or the
He's
kid
too
from
old
Cobra.
to begin with.
Well, that too, but also the kid from Cobra Kai, just because like, hey, DC, give me a
Oh
call.
yeah,
You-
he
I-
posted that. He shouldn't have done that. No.
I got so dude. I was
wait.
about to call you.
Who?
Yeah.
Tanner.
Yeah.
He posted him. He said, "Call me DC." No.
I was about to call you and be like, I will never watch
Well,
that show.
they also made the point to say that in the freaking description it says that for the first 8 to 10 years didn't know existed. So this is a kid. This is not a young adult or a man.
And you know what makes me excited? It makes me excited that a young like an untapped talent could get this gig
Yeah.
and build a career from there like this, because I think unknowns need to get more opportunity. I'm sick and tired with always casting the same Hollywood A-list all the time. Let's go find some new fresh talent in Hollywood who is of the right ethnicity, of course, and who can hopefully make Damian Wayne somewhat likable, because but I'm excited to see something new for Batman, because if they had done another one of those, like, it's gonna be gritty, realistic, just Bruce and Alfred hanging out in a cave.
If we can
Then I would-
marry like Ben Affleck's Batman with Robert Pattinson's, I think we could get a nice one that would just fit. Because like
Oh,
that warehouse scene is like what Batman should be all the damn time.
Yes.
And the detective element, the intelligent element, which we saw elements of it in BVS and certain cuts that
mhm.
still didn't help the movie in the long run, but he still did his work. That's the one thing that got me so hung up on the Chris Nolan stuff, is like he fought like an idiot and he didn't do anything on his own.
Mhm.
It was all
Lucius.
Yeah.
Lucius. Yeah. Also, I would love to challenge James Gunn to do the blue and gray costume. I think it's time, guys. I think it's time. I think it can be done. Not like that type of blue, like I'm the smaller box, but like something like.
I think I know what you mean.
Yeah.
It can be a darker blue. It doesn't need to be the baby blue.
And also, let's do a black and yellow bat logo. Like, come on, it's like what you're wearing right now. Like we haven't had that in so long. I think it's time we go back to that.
I think we'll be surprised. I'm excited for this. Yeah. Let's dive into the next film, guys, because we have, as Omni mentioned earlier, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. This is based off of Tom King and Billiquis Evely. I'm probably butchering that name. Apologies. And she tweeted as well about this. She was really excited. And Tom has actually been in the writer's room working on developing a lot of things. So that's really cool that they brought him in. And obviously, we know Superman was sent to Earth, raised by incredible loving parents. Kara, in this iteration, was on Krypton, a piece of it. And she lived seeing all these people dying in horrible situations. So she's a very different version of Kara. And there was no confirmation on if this is going to be having Sasha, who's playing Supergirl in the Flash film. I'm assuming it's not, but they haven't said anything either way. And I feel like this is interesting because instead of just doing a Supergirl film that's just Supergirl finally shows up on Earth, they're actually basing it off of a limited series. I think that's very interesting. Yeah, it's very interesting that we're going this route of very specifically focusing on comics, because that's something that Marvel really hasn't done. Obviously, they take liberty and take names for titles for films, but they don't come out and explicitly show, okay, this, like James Gunn made a point to show, here's all the comics these things are based off of. And he was actually talking about the comic writers when announcing things. Like, that's very interesting that they're heavily pushing that. Plus, it's helping comic sales. And like I said, it's helping the royalties and all that for the people who worked on the books. So that's
sold out. It's now on Amazon. It's a bestseller now because it's sold out. This one was number one.
And this is pretty interesting because I honestly didn't expect a Supergirl project announced at the same time as Superman project.
That's what threw me off.
Yeah,
that's why I was like, when I saw that they were announced side by side in the same like video and all that, when that popped up, I was like, okay, so is that the legacy? Like, because then that made me. That's why I was like, oh, are we getting an older Clark? But now we're not. So I'm like, how is this going to tie in? But then again, like, it's a new universe, so some of these don't have to necessarily be happening at the same times. Because I mean, like, look at, like, as another example, I guess, from rival studio, Captain Marvel was like well before anything that actually started in the MCU. So they could do something like that. So I don't know.
Do you think Supergirl is in Superman Legacy and the film is a flashback before?
That could be neat.
Or maybe Superman Legacy ends with a after credit sequence of Supergirl showing up on Earth, and then this film is leading up, showing all the backstory and leading into that after credit scene, and then there's some continuation of the story, maybe. Because the reason why I'm bringing this up as a potential idea, I just watched a couple weeks ago Sonic and Sonic 2 back to back on the same day, and they had the after credit sequence of Tails
Yeah.
in the first film, and then they found a way to retroactively put it into where it's actually happening in terms of this the second film's timeline. Because like, okay, so where's Tails? And then they actually replay the whole scene again in the timeline of Sonic 2. I'm like, oh, okay, so maybe they could retroactively do that with this, because I didn't expect Supergirl this soon.
It kind of mirrors what they did in the Tomorrowverse a little bit too, because Superman was just starting off, Batman was already a name that was out there, and then the next appearance Superman showed up. Well, not the next, because the next was the World War II. But then the next, like he's still like early on, and then Car's there, and then they're like,
"Oh yeah,
get the hell out of here!"
Oh yeah, yeah. The film, like, they just like, she's here, like, okay, like,
and then she just gets the boot.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it's handled pretty well. But I think that they could have spent more time establishing, but at the same time, they've done it so many times. Like, we know how Supergirl gets there. We know that she shows up. We don't have to retread the same water. You know what I'm saying? So I get that. But I mean, with this being a limited run and they're basing off this comic, it's very different of how she's raised, essentially.
Yeah.
I think that's a very different approach, because they could have just did another typical Supergirl story, which I feel like James is like, no, like that's already been done. We don't need to do that again.
Well, she's very different. That's one thing that always like rubbed me the wrong way, is because Superman existed and when the Supergirl show was going on, but she was just a Superman vehicle.
Yeah.
Because they weren't allowed to use Superman at the time. So like, she's not like that. She's more rash. She's more
jaded,
broken in a lot of ways, because she lived through all of this. She was frozen, so she's also locked in the more popular timelines. She's been frozen, so while she was born before Clark, she lost half of her life because she was just stuck in space. So she's got to adjust to a whole new planet, and she's waking up dealing with the fact everyone she knew is no longer around. She still thinks and acts like a Kryptonian, while Clark's just had that raised out of him. So they're two very different people philosophically. And that's, at least not since the Supergirl movie way back when, like, we haven't really seen that outside of animation.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on this, Andy? On this,
I'm excited.
Based on the comic.
Yeah, I've been debating whether I'm going to read it, because I don't know. Because I haven't read. I mean, my good friends at Supergirl Radio, they have read it and they loved it, and so they were very excited about this. But I don't, I know Tom King is a huge writer, so, and I'm glad he's getting another shot, because he was supposed to do the New Gods movie with Ava DuVernay, and then it didn't happen because Warner Brothers stayed Warner Brothers, I guess. But I'm excited. I'm glad that Clark and Kara can be, that this is going to prove to the world that we can have Clark and Kara at the same time, without them conflicting with each other. So, because I remember, like, when Super Lois was announced, like, people were like just instantly going like, that means that we don't need Supergirl anymore. Supergirl's getting canceled. And it's like now, like, and now we get to, and I'm excited that this might lead us to finally seeing the two cousins together on the big screen for the first time, because Christopher Reeve was supposed to be in the Supergirl movie, and then history happened. But I'm excited to see what they're gonna do. I wonder who will direct this, because like when they were developing other Supergirl movies over the last couple of years, I heard some interesting names. Some that was just like, stay the fuck away from Supergirl. But I panicked a little bit.
He should not be named.
No. He was never mentioned. But there was one name that I'm like, this is the weirdest fit ever. But if they bring Sasha back, because listen, if she's amazing in the Flash movie, which I've heard so many good things about the performance, I felt, why couldn't she go on and continue playing her? Or here's the thing. Despite what happens with this Flash movie, like how it reboots the universe and so on, why couldn't Sasha could always play a Supergirl from Earth DCU? A Supergirl that has nothing to do with the Flash movie, but it just happens to be Sasha.
Yeah, I mean, it could set up an Elseworlds for all we know.
Yeah.
But you mean this movie?
Flash potentially.
Oh, yeah, Flash. Yeah, because Superwoman Tomorrow, that is definitely
it's going to be in the time. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see what they're gonna do with this. What's next?
Well, the very next thing is something I think was a wild card, and once again, it is in Gunn's wheelhouse in terms of bringing forth characters that people are unfamiliar with. We're talking the Authority, and of course, I love how Gunn started off saying this is a passion project because he was asked about passion projects that he would love to do, or if there is there anything he would love to tackle. And he said they're working on many passion projects now, so he admitted this was one of them, and they've been really working hard on with the writers, and they were starting to put together the entire story. This is a big movie. Now they got to be careful because if they put a lot of budget into this, there's no guarantee this is going to be successful because these are lesser known characters. The marketing has to be good in order to get people in. And these are Wildstorm characters. Now, I don't know if this has happened before because Wildstorm was, of course, bought out by DC. And so has the Wildstorm characters appeared in DC Comics alongside DC Heroes before? I don't know if this has happened.
I
But
think they
they're
have.
in the new
okay.
52.
Okay, the new 52. So they have done
Forward.
this, but I think this is
Because
very interesting.
in the Flashpoint animated movie, Grifter, he was a Wildstorm character, and he was in that animated movie too.
Okay. But this is interesting because we're bringing forth a team of characters that have never been in live action, and a lot of people don't recognize until after this announcement. Now people are actually checking out the comics and everything like that. And they're a very different kind of superhero story. They're basically good intention, but they think that the world is completely broken, and the only way to fix it is to take things into their own hands, whether that means killing people, destroying heads of state, changing governments, basically whatever they want to make the world better. We'll see how that journey goes for them, and saying that they basically think the ends justify the means, and they're morally gray characters. So that's going to be interesting to kind of see them standing alongside other DC heroes. I think this is probably the biggest risk out of the films that we've talked about, and the last one we'll talk about in a moment. I think this is the biggest risk in terms of saying it's a big movie. I mean, they're going to put a lot of money into it. They have to be careful because this movie is not there. As I've said before, releasing a film in theaters, not talking DC or Marvel, just in general, releasing a film in theaters is always a gamble, no matter what it is. So this is their biggest gamble because a lot of people don't recognize these characters. You got to get the general audience to sit down and actually go to the theater to see these characters. The marketing has to be good because if you don't win over those people, this film is not going to, it's going to bomb. It's not going to do well. So I have hope that this is going to be interesting, but it's the biggest risk. Omni, what do you think about the Authority? And do you think that this was a smart move in terms of making this a big film, or what they're saying they're going to make it as a big movie?
That we'll just have to wait and see. But I'm shocked that we're getting something like this in the first chapter, like for this team specifically. The only one I've ever heard of outside of the Wildstorm, like within the Wildstorm stuff, is Midnighter and Grifter. Those are the only two I even remotely know about. Midnighter is like basically Batman, but with a love of violence and killing. I don't know, man. It's an interesting choice to do it this early, even before we even have like a counter JLA to like put them up against or like contrast them to, kind of.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's kind of why they exist, to be the morally gray Justice League, essentially. So setting them up like this early on, I'm very curious about it, unless it's like having them rub elbows as the JLA starts to form, depending on if they're already established, because they could predate the Justice League in this universe or something like that. And maybe maybe the world's fed up with their type of justice. I don't know. Well, it's an interesting idea, and I just have to wait. It's just like the hell? What? Why? There's a big old question mark and like loading dial that popped up in my head when they announced that one, on trying to figure out where and how that fits in. But like anything else, we'll just have to wait and see. But I mean, with their DC's not afraid to make something mature, so
That's
this
true,
could
yeah.
be very different from what we're going to be getting with the other
Do you think
stuff.
these be R-rated?
Oh, probably. It would probably need to be.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I want to see. Kind of said what I was going to say as well. Is that No one knew who the Guardians of the Galaxy when they were introduced. So why can't Gunn make this work? And I agree. Like nobody gave a shit about the Guardians, and then James Gunn brought him in, and he made him a household name. So, yeah, exactly. So it's like, yeah, like you said, Jordan, every movie is a risk, but it's like also just because he says that the movie is going to be big, it doesn't mean it has to be 200 million or something like that. Like a big movie could still be 100 million and still work. My reaction was I had no fucking clue who these characters were, but then I did some research and I just literally screamed, fucking gay superheroes, yes. Give me that content right now. Cast Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill as these two. I don't give two fucks. Do it. I will watch that. I will eat it up. I will go back to the theater and watch it again and again and again. I will buy it on Blu-ray and Steelbox and DVD. Heck, you know what? Fuck it, put it on cassette tape and I will fucking buy it. This sounds like a very intriguing. I love anti-heroes because that's kind of what they're describing here. So, and I kind of want to see what these characters do in terms of interactions with someone like Superman, etc., etc. So, yeah, I, you know what? I'm always in favor of seeing new stuff. Like, I mean, he took someone like Peacemaker who appeared in like the 70s, and he made him appealing. But also, he also cast John Cena, and everyone who has good taste will know that John Cena is. So
I don't know what you're talking about. I can't see anything.
Why does it never gets old? It never gets old. But yeah, I look forward to see who they might tap for this. I really do hope it's R-rated because I think we should have some more superhero movies that are R-rated, and we know it can work. So
and we're not backing away from it. I mean, Joker 2 and some of the other stuff they got cooking up. I mean,
Deadpool 3.
James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. DC's not afraid where they don't have a mouse threatening to like execute them if anything gets vaguely risque.
What if Quentin Tarantino did this one?
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it.
Is he controversial or like because Jordan, you guys had like synchronized panic looked?
Well, he's very art house, and he's now nobody believes him, but part of my mind, he's like whatever his next film is, he said will be his last. So I don't know.
Oh, yeah. It's one of those people.
He says that, but I mean, whatever his next project is, it's gonna be his own thing. It's not gonna be this. Yeah. I mean, who knows?
There was that R-rated Star Trek movie he was trying to make.
Oh, yeah. That was never going to happen. But I mean,
I'm a fucking doctor.
Yeah, well, I mean, like the more recent like Star Trek shows have definitely gotten darker on Paramount Plus, but not to the level of like Quentin Tarantino. And to the point I made about this film has to, a good marketing stuff. Like, look. I understand Guardians of the Galaxy was successful, but Marvel has said, Kevin Feige has said that was their biggest risk at that point announcing that film. That was their biggest risk when they announced it. They didn't know if it was going to be successful. So I'm not trying to be negative. I'm just saying that.
No, I'm not saying you're trying to be negative.
Well, it feels like, people are just saying like, well, that he made this work so I can. Like I've already mentioned that.
We're just having a conversation, Jordan. We're just having a conversation. No one is saying you're trying to be negative.
Well, I'm just making the point of that. This is all a big gamble. I mean, the fact is that David said Zaslav signed off on this is kind of crazy. Oh my God.
Do not let this woman near a set movie set, whatever. She's gonna be like, well. Now we're all gathered here to direct a movie. So, okay, Jessica Chastain is not allowed on this set because for some reason I have something against her.
That's a perfect representation. We'll see what happens. I think I might actually check out these characters in their comics whenever I come back to sale.
Omni, do you watch The Boys?
Oh yeah.
What if Eric Kripke wrote this?
I mean, that's immediately where. No, I'm just like, just because I'm just thinking about like some of the crazy shit they do. And how whatever season 4 is going to be worse than anything we've seen.
What do you mean?
Supposedly, execs have thrown up with some of the stuff they've seen in the season 4.
Really?
Supposedly. So, like, I'm just like, he's great though, because The Boys is beautifully done. And when this was announced, that's immediately where my brain went, because I knew they're like this very gray team, even if I don't know them on an individual level. But I mean,
And the Wildstorm,
it wouldn't
correct?
be bad. It would be
Yeah.
interesting. I would be all for something in that tone, for sure, especially with a team like this.
Maybe Anthony Starr as Midnighter.
No,
Call
I still
Urban
want him as Reverse Flash.
Oh.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. Well, it's because he has his dyed blonde hair. That's the whole
I
thing.
mean, that would be. I mean, listen. Let me get really queer up in here. That would be the hottest shit ever. Like, I will kind of be like, "Yes, Mr. Fawn, you can kill my mother all you want." No, just take that hand and just play it with me. But no, but I think Eric Ripley would be great for something like this. And I believe this was also sold out in Spider. No. Jordan, don't bring it up. Don't bring up that comment. Don't bring up the last comment.
Anyways,
Whoa, Andy, why didn't you tell us you could do a great Grace Rattle impression? Well, I feel like I would get sued if I tried to impersonate her too much.
get a yellow wig. So
The last movie.
yes. So the last movie is the one that I think everybody kind of figured was going to happen, and we're talking, of course, Swamp Thing. So we bring it up because it's important to point out that in these stories, although they're interconnected, they're not all tonally the same, because Swamp Thing, of course, can be more horror-based. Each set of filmmakers bring their own aesthetic to these films, and the fun is seeing how these totally different works mash up in the future, which, of course, they are expecting Swamp Thing to be. I'm assuming they're going to go the route of like the show that was unfortunately canceled after one season, but that show is very dark. And
So good.
yeah, this film will investigate the dark origins of Swamp Thing, and the fact that James Mangold, director of Logan, director of the upcoming Indiana Jones 5, is already in discussions for this is very interesting. Apparently, he does have a project he has to do next, but it seems like this could be his next film after that. So this is interesting. I mean, I'm not surprised that we're getting Swamp Thing, because it's a character.
They've been talking about it for a while, that
Yeah.
they've been building towards it, because I mean, there's been this ethereal ghost in the room of this Justice League Dark project that has been whispered for decades now, and nothing's come out of it, much like the Green Lantern show.
And Andy made the point. Omni, how do you feel if Guillermo del Toro actually did direct Swamp Thing? Because I think he was in the running. He was in the running for Justice League Dark at one point. So
he wrote a damn script, and then he got busy with like 600 other projects.
Do you think he could direct Swamp Thing? Do you think it finally could happen?
I mean, it could happen. It would be awesome. I think it would be right up his alley. I think James Mangold is also a great choice.
Yeah,
but I'm just excited. I love Swamp Thing just in general, because I grew up watching like those old shitty live action movies.
Yeah.
Man,
I loved those, man. And
Well,
then the cartoon.
Yeah, and also too, like if you remember
the cartoon,
I'm pretty sure, unless I'm making it up in my head.
They did have a cartoon. Yeah, a Swamp Thing show. I think the look of Swamp Thing in that live action show for DC Universe, I don't know how you top that. That look of Swamp Thing was
so good,
fantastic.
Like James Wan did a really good job with that.
Yeah,
now, like
I don't know how you top it. I don't know how you do it.
Maybe he can come in. He could come on and executive produce.
Holy
shit, yo! We're not fucking kidding.
No.
Yeah. I mean, I was like, I was starting to gaslight myself. Was it real?
I'm literally watching the first episode.
Yeah. Then I remember, I swear, and again, this is rumor mill stuff, so I don't know what it. I mean, you may have heard something more than I have, more concrete, but like I swear, I remember hearing something, people tickling and buzzes about not a season 2, but like bringing that cast back for a different rendition. Would you want to see them come back, or would you want to have Alec recast or somebody else in these roles?
I would be happy if they got to come back and play like a new, fresh take. You know, also because I love Crystal Reed. You know, who was just in the Teen Wolf movie, so she can come back as Abby Arcane.
I think that'd be amazing. Yeah.
because they got really mistreated with that whole situation.
it was a tax issue in my state that caused the problems.
Really?
Yes, North
Man,
Carolina.
that's
It was
stupid.
It was North Carolina tax issue, and that's why they had to cancel it because they didn't get the tax write-off for the production because somebody screwed up the paperwork.
Was it David
So,
Zaslav?
And they couldn't afford to store
yeah, because they didn't get that tax
set.
write-off. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
they built an entire swamp set, and the
Yeah.
logistics between actually keeping it, maintaining it, and storing it would have been
I
god
really
awful.
I really wish we could get them back, but when they said that this is the investigating the dark origins, because we had the origins of Swamp Thing in the show, so they're probably not going to bring them back. But I mean,
They might bring back the actor who was in the Swamp Thing suit.
oh, they might do that. I just wonder how they're going to top the look. And two, if James Mangold can't do it for some reason, scheduling or whatever.
Del Toro.
I mean, Del Toro. I mean, James Wan. I mean, he was already working on the show. I mean, I think he might be a good fit to direct.
I mean, it was his show, so but
He's
he's
probably
also
gonna-
already on the books for Aquaman, so he's already on the payroll.
Yeah.
And also, you know what he's probably gonna do? He's gonna be like, "I will come back if you guys actually release the movie and don't cancel it for tax purposes."
Yeah, they got to make sure all these people are actually going to get these movies released.
Swamp Thing was actually one of the parts I got told a couple of days in advance, and I was like, "They're really gonna do a Swamp Thing movie again?" We just had the show just a few years ago. James, this is funny because I was like, because they said James Mangold's name, I'm like, oh, this is too good to be true. Then that tweet came out. I'm like,
Right?
boy, what you doing? So I'm happy. I'm happy that he might get it directed because I love Logan so much. Like there's still a lot of Academy Awards that film deserves, in my opinion. So, and also I think this could be a way because the J.J. Abrams Justice League Dark Universe, I feel like they could maybe hand it over to James Gunn, and Swamp Thing could be the beginning of the Justice League Dark corner of the DCU. Because there was, well, George, there was one. We will get to the graphics in a moment because there was one movie you brought up yesterday, Jordan. We were talking on the phone that you were surprised wasn't even referenced on the slate for Elseworlds. But do you have any final thoughts on Thing Swamp?
Thing Swamp. You mean Man Thing?
Oh, I was about to say that.
Do you think this is a response because they
No.
did Marvin?
This is James Gunn wanting to bring in the horror, and the fact is they're wanting to do a lot of tonally different projects. It's
Swamp Thing's been getting so much respect here lately, and
Yeah.
I'm all here for it.
And the title, Gods and Monsters. If they would have said this is Gods and Monsters, and we're not announcing Swamp Thing, what a fail!
I mean, he's the entity of the green, man. Like that's one of the
Yeah.
most prominent forces in the universe.
And he's
established that.
a very strong character, and it's going to be so interesting. But I mean, I'm all for
I'm
it.
just jealous that you live in the same state as what the show was filming. Like,
Oh
if
yeah,
you wanted to, could you just driven up and just seen it?
no,
Okay.
I don't know where they were shooting it. I have no idea. But let's look at Jullian Bell's DCU graphic. Let's pull this up, shall we?
Awesome.
So,
Thank you so much for letting us using it.
yeah, so he made this graphic here. Well, actually, if you could take off the
Oh yes, of
planet
course,
there.
of course.
planet's
yes,
just
okay.
covering up.
Hold on,
So
hold on.
this is-
I have to get in my spaceship and take off the planet.
Yeah, take off the
Okay.
planet. So
Oh,
we
no, we're
have
gone.
so the top row, of course, we have the Shazam, Flash, Blue Beetle, Aquaman, and the way James talked about the universe reboot, a soft reboot, it sounds like Blue Beetle is tied into the DCU. It sounds like that Blue Beetle could be connected, which is great. Of course, Aquaman 2, it sounds like Jason Momoa is not going anywhere as Aquaman. And then, of course, we have these great logos he made here. I love that Swamp Thing logo. That's so awesome. And then lanterns, and obviously
from
these
the
are
show?
just... Huh?
Isn't the Swamp Thing logo from the TV show?
I think it's from
Yeah.
the TV show that he took.
Okay.
Obviously, we don't have any dates except for Superman Legacy, which is obviously that's a great logo he made there. Really cool stuff. This is the upcoming stuff. Obviously,
Ooh, I love the
Peacemakers.
Batman logo. I see it
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, it's awesome. And the wall, I like the purple there. That's cool. Paradise Lost. And I don't think they'll call it Batman the Brave and the Bold. Obviously, that's from the show, which I might react to that potentially one day on the channel. Who knows?
Have
But
you not
what's-
reacted to it yet?
No, that's a lot of stuff to get through.
It's just like 2 seasons.
Is it? I don't know. Anyway, so the more interesting thing is actually the Elseworlds here. So we have, of course, we had Joker that came out. We had the Batman that released, Joker 2. We got the Batman Part 2. The Penguin series and Arkham series is in development, or it's to be determined. Teen Titans Go, Harley Quinn, Superman and Lois, best thing ever, Gotham Knights, The Flash, which of course it's ending, Sweet Tooth, which I forget that that's a DC show,
Me too.
Sandman, Dead Boy Detectives, Justice League War, which is coming out, I think in the summer, Batman the Doom that came to Gotham, which is coming out in March, and then we have a Ruby Justice League crossover, which is crazy as hell. They're doing that.
Part 1 apparently.
Yeah, apparently we're getting 2. It's kind of crazy on that. But this is a lot of stuff here. A lot of stuff. We have DC. Obviously, Chapter 1. This is not the entirety of Chapter 1. This is just like the first half of Chapter 1. And this is, of course, all the Elseworld stuff, which shows that we have a variety of stuff that's set outside of DCU. Because I guess people were worried about, well, it seems that we're going to get a lot more DCU and less Elseworlds. It seems like it's going to be more of like a good mixture where you're going to have interconnected stuff and also stuff that isn't interconnected.
Julian, you did an amazing job. I may have to ask you for some logo favors. Can you talk, Julian? If you're still in here, can you tell us what was the inspiration for your Superman Legacy? Can we bring it up one more time, please?
Yes, the Superman Legacy. Yes.
Yeah. What are you pulling that from? Like, and also the Waller one, because that was really, really cool. And the Lanterns one, I may have to DM you after this. But I'm excited that Blue Beetle gets to be part of it because I love Jaime Reyes so much, and insert name of the guy who plays Miguel on Cobra Kai. Zolo is I think how you say it.
Xolo.
Yeah.
Xolo Mario Dueña.
Oh.
Yeah,
wow.
Since Cobra Kai is ending, this kid is going to be available. Like, Blue Beetle is an amazing character, so I'm glad that James Gunn is keeping him, because also he's a hot name right now, and I bet you, like, when Cobra Kai season 6 ends, it's probably because Blue Beetle comes out this summer. Jordan, I guess Cobra Kai season 6 is next year. You would know
probably
more
come
about
out this fall.
Are they shooting? I don't think they're shooting.
Probably.
I don't think they're shooting.
But Jordan,
they just started.
Okay.
We
if
got
they're
a
shooting now
already,
well,
with no footage, but like I don't know.
But Jordan, you said they had started writing before they got renewed for season 6. Is that right?
I know that the showrunners were working on a project when they were promoting season 5. They had said they were working on a show. They were in the middle of shooting a show that isn't Cobra Kai, and then after that they would start writing on season 6. So I'm not sure. I'm assuming they've already written the scripts by this time of the announcement. I could be wrong. I don't know how much time after those interviews they were still shooting the show for Netflix, another show. So I don't know. Unless there's I haven't heard anything about them shooting it. If they actually are shooting, it could come out at the end of this year.
No. Wait a second.
They didn't announce a date or anything.
I think it's just said 2023.
I don't remember there being a year on. I remember them saying just season 6.
Yeah, I'm set up, but
yeah, but I mean, he'll be available. He'll be available.
Yeah. And he seems like a really good kid. So I really hope he gets to be part of this for a very long time. And I talked to someone a couple of days ago actually who he saw bits and pieces of Blue Beetle, and he was like, "Andy, you're gonna cry. Like they did your boy good." And he's like, but he was like, "But can you just listen to Jordan?" And he always says, "Can you just listen to Chainsaw Man and just watch Cobra Kai for fuck's sake?" I'm like,
you should watch it. I don't know why you're not watching it.
Maybe
you'll say the same thing about me. Why am I not watching Peacemaker? Why didn't I watch Sandman?
Okay, how about we do this? If I start watching one episode of Cobra Kai, you have to watch at least one episode of Sandman or Peacemaker.
Okay. I will watch Sandman.
You know. Wait, hold on. I'm gonna write you a proposal. Wait, one second.
Okay. Well, okay. So while we're doing this,
okay,
did you find out the answer?
Coming soon.
Yeah, I'm assuming.
I went back and that's all it said.
I think they don't have a lot of post-production work, obviously. So I feel like it could come out at the end of this year if they start shooting soon. So you had mentioned, and you had mentioned Superman and Lois. So what are your thoughts on the comments that James Gunn made about Superman and Lois? Because I'm assuming you have some thoughts about his words versus what is being said online about what people thought that meant versus what it actually means. What do you think about it?
What's the discourse? Enlighten me.
Well, so James Gunn said that they expect Superman and Lois to continue 1 or 2 more seasons. That's what they said. They were very like, shh, we're not talking about Gotham Knights. They had no comment on that.
Right.
Of course they don't. So people online, not everybody, because I'm not going to throw everybody under the bus saying everyone's believing a stupid thing. A lot of people have been saying, oh, so that means the show is safe. No. It just came out today that they're roughly spending $5 million per episode producing the show. Which, Andy's face, I mean, that is, and the CW has made a point.
It's a big red flag.
Nexstar has said that they want to focus on $1 million per episode budget, which means Superman Lois is dead. It's not
CG,
dead.
are you still in here?
Defunct is said exactly what I thought when that line came out. Does that 1 to 2 include season 3, which has not come out yet? Because that one could be the season that's not out, and that could be saying that could be the season 3 could be the end.
I mean, look,
but that also gives us Superman 1 or 2 more seasons until they have their Superman.
That would be ideal if CW.
That's not up to, that's not up to James Gunn.
Yeah,
like James Gunn can bring the axe, but so can they.
Yeah, James Gunn could say, okay, we're going to pull the plug on production or whatever, but the CW, Nexstar, could go, we're not bringing this back. And so, and the thing is, they're not going to put the resources in to shop it around to somewhere else. Like, they're going to stop.
It is too expensive with the revenue it made. And I will say that I haven't said this anywhere else. So this is an Endless Multiverse exclusive. I have reached out to CW for comment, and they have declined to comment so far. So
on the $5 million budget.
No, not the $5 million.
The James Gunn comment.
Because people mistaking that as a renewal. Here's how it usually works. Networks don't do decisions until April or May, which is when the upwards are happening. So now in past years, before Nexstar became the devil, the CW would usually announce a lot of renewals in January or February because Mark Pettit strongly believed in giving his creative teams early heads up so they can plan the best season they can and then start working out on the next season. And in this case, Nexstar doesn't give 2 shits about that. So, and again, here's the thing. James Gunn, as he said to me in my tweet to me, in theory, he could take Tyler and Betsy and do something with them in any DC project he wants. But he and Peter, as in Peter Safran, have no legal jurisdiction in keeping shows running indefinitely. So, and here's the thing. I think James should just not have said anything. And I'm not saying, don't send anything to James, anything like that. That's not what I'm doing at all. I think James should have just been like, not my show, not my place to speak. I think he should have said, I would love for it to go on for another season or 2, since people seem to love it so much. I don't think they expect to go on for 1 or 2 more seasons. I think that was the biggest mistake. Also because you guys were doing a decent, like, what reporter in that crowd decided to be like, oh, Mr. James Gunn, I know you got nothing to do with the Elseworlds, but what's happened with Superman and Lois? So,
but he actually addressed that in his comments about DC as a whole, which is kind of crazy, but I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah, but this was also from the Q&A portion because
it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I
think it's because he has Superman Legacy, he has a movie he's writing on, and they're probably asking, okay, so this is a part of the old regime that this show has been under.
Yeah.
Like, how much more? Because I mean, it sounds like Harley Quinn, the animated show, is going to go on for quite a bit. Like, he really is up.
Well, he's in the show. Yeah, he's in the show.
But the idea of, like, it sounds like they would like to continue that. But for Superman and Lois, I mean, it's a very different situation because they're not the ones who are airing it on a network. They're putting on HBO Max. So it's a very different situation in terms of who's in control. Obviously,
they're not going to put on HBO Max, I think, if it got canceled for people.
Yeah, Superman and Lois won't do that. I mean, obviously, the seasons will be on there to watch, but they're not going to move the show over because it's like, it just wouldn't make sense. Like, at that point, if they're done airing it through 3 seasons, like, I get it if you want to continue, but that would be probably paying more to move it over.
Let's remember,
they'd have to buy out DC, I think, and Warner Brothers would have to buy out the CW stake in the show, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and also I want to because I don't know if you know this part specifically, but so in last month the production contract that they have with the studio of with the city of Vancouver expired.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
the Smallville
set, yeah,
set where they actually
yeah,
have the town.
yeah,
Yeah.
That's done. The
and
3-year contract's over.
yeah. See, Categories, are you still in here? I might need you for a second, because he can explain some of these things better than I can. But let's take a look at the Elseworlds schedule one more time. Jullian, you did an amazing job. What right now on our mind before we go to Q&A? Which of these are we most excited for, both from TV and from movie? Anna, you're a guest.
Glad
So
you
I
specified. Sorry.
yeah. No, go, yeah. You pick a movie, pick a show.
We're talking movie. I mean, Batman Part 2, easy. Like I'm really looking forward to the Joker thing. It just seems like a bigger swing. Like I loved Joker, but Joker Fully Ado, the musical sequel, that can work. It might not. I don't know, but I'm pretty confident that at least the Batman Part 2 is going to be pretty solid. As far as TV shows, Sandman all the way.
Yes.
All the way. Sandman season 2 through 7. Give me all of it.
Not Shelby. Wow.
Yeah, I'm my
Jordan.
wife.
I'm sorry. What am I thinking? Gotham Knights.
Of course, you're forgetting the best show ever made. Oh, we can't say that out loud. We can't say that. Okay.
You guys can talk about it how much you want. I can't say anything.
No, I'm saying we can't say. Anyways, so for me, it's
your head.
the Batman 2, and for me personally, because I hope it ends on a good note with Flash season 9. Because I haven't seen Sandman, so I hear it's amazing, but I gotta give Flash season 9 because if it can end like Arrow in terms of giving us a good final season, I'm gonna be very happy.
Yeah, I only went with Sandman because I know we're getting more Sandman.
Yeah. Obviously, we're not getting more Flash after this, but
yeah.
And they announced more casting today for Flash. We're getting we're getting Thawne back. We're getting
the good Thawne.
Yeah, getting good and bad Thawne. We're also getting Jessica Parker. I don't think we're gonna get Jordan Fisher back, but that's
really.
Cool. I don't think so. I think he's on Broadway.
Maybe watch part 2. I would say maybe watch part 2 of my Flash interview with Eric Wallace on Wednesday night. So you may get some answers.
Maybe get an answer. Are we ready to jump into Q&A?
I want to say my things that I'm excited for.
Sorry.
Sorry.
You don't matter. Get back in your chair.
We said both good and bad, Eddie. The good and bad Thawne. Sarah, you're not getting the original Sarah back. That's an ongoing joke. Well, the idea
out of existence.
Well,
yeah, the original Sarah actor from the Arrow pilot. The idea of we're gonna bring her to fight other Sarah.
Go. Let me bring this up one more time. I can just. I am. The thing is, the more I've heard about Joker 2, the more intrigued I'm getting. So I don't know if this has been leaked yet, so I will keep my mouth shut. But it sounds exciting. Into the show, I mean, Flash is 9 all the way. The season premiere is amazing, you guys. I watched it for a 5th time now. It is so good. Bring tissues and get ready for a lot of good laughs. But also Sandman, more Sandman, because that show, because I don't read a lot of Vertigo stuff, but like Neil Gaiman is a fucking legend. I know that. So I can't wait to see what they do with additional episodes. And I will fucking bully Jordan into watching at some point. Maybe, Jordan, look at my idea in the private chat and see what you think about it. But yeah, the last question is, was there something we were disappointed was not part of the initial announcement? Was there something that was personally on your wish list that you're like, fuck it, James Gunn, you didn't put it in there?
I would say that, while this isn't all of Chapter 1, I think that's one thing that a lot of people still are forgetting out there in the sphere is that this isn't the whole slate. This is just a taste of what is to come. It's just like with Marvel, like with Phase 6, we only got 3 titles out of God knows how many empty slots. We don't know how many slots are open for this whole slate. This is just what they're comfortable telling us right now. So while it may still be in phase 1, chapter 1, whatever you want to call it, I'm kind of surprised we didn't get a Wonder Woman announcement.
Mhm.
I mean,
that's Jordan's fault. That was
that's
Jordan's
not-
fault because
that's
he
not
kept wishing the Wonder Woman
Paradise.
TV show.
Right.
Yeah, that's Jordan's fault. He was just like, I think we should do a Wonder Woman TV show. I don't know why it made him sound.
Well, when I
but...
said that, I also said that they could do a Wonder Woman TV show with a Wonder Woman in it. I didn't say that. Like, oh, it has to be without her.
Well, I mean, your stupid wish blipped her out of the existence. So
good, good.
No anti-feminist on this show.
It's my damn channel. I do
it's our damn show.
This is my channel, though.
Now you listen to me.
Oh my god.
Any comments? It's people Kevin Feige.
I was like, who am I looking at? I was like, why does this look oddly familiar and why am I confused?
Oh Jesus. So oh god. So
Oh, no,
Andy, what is Andy,
oh my god.
Andy, what is the project that you thought they would announce that they did not?
I really thought there was going to be something with Flash, but not because of you know who, but because I really thought that one speedster would at least have some function in Chapter 1, which for all sense and purposes they might still. I love one of my friends. He proposed. We were talking on the Gmail chat the other day. The idea of a Flash family movie, because here's the thing: we're doing multiple Green Lanterns, we're doing Supergirl and Superman, we're doing Batman Brave and the Bold. Why can't we do a Flash family movie? That would be different from the show.
Pretty good. Yeah.
I was genuinely surprised that there was nothing with Flash on that schedule. What about you? What were you most surprised about, Jordan?
Well, I think the reason why maybe they didn't announce Flash is because we still have a Flash movie to come out, right? And so we don't know the future of what's that going to be. So,
and they don't either.
Yeah, they have no idea. And real fast, is the villain Amber Heard. Anyways, so the thing, and I honestly thought one of you guys would have said this, but I'm surprised. So and I think it might still be announced in the second half of Part 1. I'm shocked that James Gunn did not say anything about Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn. And the reason why is because he has heavily talked about how much he had a great time working with her on the Suicide Squad. And I think he's going to keep her. I think it's pretty obvious based on how he's keeping Amanda Waller and certain characters from Peacemaker and everything, and potentially anything from the Suicide Squad left over, he'll keep. I feel like we're going to get her Harley Quinn. I'm surprised there wasn't anything said, but maybe they're just waiting. She could be in the Brave and the Bold. She could be. Who knows? Right? We don't know what that story is.
She might be in Waller.
Yeah. So I'm surprised that he didn't mention anything with her. I'm not saying like a Harley Quinn film. We've already had that, but I'm surprised that there was nothing that, about that. But then again, this is early on. We're still a number of years away from these things coming out. So who knows? Plus, she probably is busy and they're probably trying to figure all this out. Because, I mean, they probably haven't even gotten through all of the cast yet of previous incarnation of stuff to see what they're going to keep and all that. They probably have an idea. It's just,
Where's Black Adam 2?
I mean, who knows?
That's so mean.
Yes, it was called Birds of Prey.
And it was actually pretty good.
Movie.
Yeah, Harley. Yeah, I think she might be the new Batman. So,
okay, so I just a couple of super chats. We get ready for Q&A from Scott Edwards. Okay, so Eric Wall said in his interview with the Flash podcast, he's hoping for a lot of old faces in the ending, just Flash characters or from other shows.
Mostly Flash, I would assume, is what he meant. I mean, you don't have to this is not him hinting, we're gonna bring in all the characters from all the different shows and wrap them all up. No, that's not what he's doing. He's probably meaning we're gonna have a way to highlight, because this is 9 years of a television show. Like, you got to find a way to highlight all of the characters that have appeared in some sort of way, or at least not all, but try. I mean, literally throughout the whole season, the trailers have been showing a lot of returning characters, and we heard today of more returning characters. So this is gonna be a jam-packed season, more than normal. Like, more than normal in terms of a normal season where we get a recurring character here or there, a returning character for an episode. This is like every single week, it feels like a bunch of characters are returning in some way.
Omni, how about you? What do you think of this?
I mean, I kind of agree with what he's saying. I think that it's going to be a majority people we've seen in the past from the Flash itself, but we know they're not shedding light on grander Arrowverse characters. Of course, we got Diggle, we've got Big Papa Daddy, my Canada husband coming back. So, can I still say that now that he moved to LA?
You still can. You still can.
Okay.
Yeah, he's still a Canadian. He's still a Canadian.
He lost being a Canadian. Yeah, that's what happened.
Hey. But yeah, I mean, who else? We don't know yet. But I think the focus, a lot of the focus needs to stay on the Flash itself. But would I be upset if we saw people from other shows? Hell no. But I think that's got to be the focus with a light theme of paying respects to the greater universe, which obviously is being represented by the progeny of the whole thing, the progenitor, if you will.
I will give this little tease because this is something there may or may not have been a game. What happened?
Just R's comment.
Oh wow. Oh,
Gracie.
there may or may not be a little bit of a game in part 2 of that interview where me and Eric, we have a little chat about characters. So, Wednesday, 9 p.m., youtube.com/DCTV podcast.
So
No.
You're here to confirm.
Watch.
You're here
No.
to confirm that
Your
Riverdale
mother.
is appearing in the finale of
No,
Flash.
No, Lucy's going to be in the finale.
My dog.
Yeah.
John
Barry
W. is going to be in the Flash.
Gonna do this.
Yeah, we're gonna do this. This is probably more for Jordan and Omni because what the fuck does this even mean? So
well, I mean, also Omni watches Mandalorian.
Maybe.
I think it's possible. I mean,
I don't
Thrawn.
feel like
if
maybe
Ahsoka
lightly.
If Ahsoka is in Mandalorian season 3, there's a higher chance. And also too, they could set up Thrawn as because remember back on the Mandalorian season 2, they had that after credit scene with Boba Fett and Fennec establishing, get ready to the book of Boba Fett, announcing that show. They could do something like that to show Thrawn in the end of Mandalorian season 3.
Or you could just hear about him doing stuff in the background because I don't feel like he needs to be interjected in the story.
Yeah, I feel like it's an Ahsoka story, unless Ahsoka's in the season, which we have not heard that. Then it would make no sense to put him in unless there's some sort of crossing of the paths to where whatever's happening with Mandalore, Thrawn's involved or something's going on where Thrawn does something. I don't know. Because
I mean, they are supposed to all eventually lead to a singular crossover event.
And do you think that's going to be an actual limited series show, or that's going to happen with the Mandalorian season 4 or something?
I don't know.
I don't know
if it's going to be its own limited series. They've even said that they could do some movies set within their little pocket. I don't know. I'm not sure. But I do feel like it's probably all going to be webbed together in some way, but I think we need to stay zeroed in on Mandalore at least for this season.
80 with a $2 super chat as get petition to start a Reactors Con live stream.
Oh yeah, Reactor Con. That's old shit. Oh yeah.
Let's see.
I'm just laughing because Joypad Jake sent me this fucking picture and it has a bunch of text. It has a sunglass thing over me. My name is Jordan and I am the coolest man alive. To the outside world, I'm a normal reactor, but secretly with the help of my co-host Andy, I scour the multiverse to one day cancel Gotham Knights. I am Chainsaw. And the thing is, I didn't even read the ending of that until I started reading this out loud. That is amazing. Thank you, Jake. I love that. That is fun. Now I'm gonna share that. I'm gonna share that out. That's fucking amazing. Oh, that's okay. That's fucking great.
Let's see. Wednesday Addams confirmed to appear in season 9. Good lord.
Well, thanks for getting season 2. Thank God. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, Jenna Ortega on the flag would be amazing. I don't know, maybe she plays Allegra from another universe or something. I don't know. Lloyd wants to know: do we think Gunn will keep the Justice Society from Black Adam, but reboot them?
Can we reboot them so we can have a damn Dr. Fate? Spoilers, I guess.
I mean, who says he's dead? Maybe he just teleported himself away.
I want Kent. Damn it.
Oh.
I want me Pierce Brosnan as.
I assumed that he was going to die, just based off the marketing. Like, he's dead.
Yeah.
And in the film makes it so obvious, and that's what made me so mad, because I'm like, guys, you literally handed us on a silver platter. He's dying. Stop that. Stop the nonsense. Stop the well, we're not saying, like, we know you're killing him. Stop it. Ooh, thank you, Scott, for the super chat. Barry and Kara and Sarah were in the Arrow finale, so no excuse for characters from other shows to not appear in the Flash finale, at least not big ones. Okay, so
yeah, fair.
It's a fair comparison. However, there's a major difference unless they kill Barry and there's a funeral scene.
That's not happening.
Yeah, so the point is very different. They had Sarah in the mix. They had Barry and Kara because there was a funeral sequence, and if you were not to have them there. So it's a fair point, but it's very different circumstances than. Yeah. But,
so there are excuses for why they don't have to show up, and you know, I finally took the question to Eric, and I asked him, like, is this boy going to become a lightning bolt and strike himself in 2013? He's like, no, never heard that one before. He promises a happy ending.
He hasn't.
Yeah, sure, Eric.
He promises a happy ending for everyone because he's like, we're not killing him.
So they're not Arrow. So there's no sad ending for all of them.
We're probably going to get like a They Live On, The Adventure Continues, blah blah blah.
We're gonna see Grandpa Barry just like walking slowly. Back in my day when I was the Flash, you know.
But could you imagine, now that I'm thinking about it, like, how do you like close the Arrowverse or like kind of represent like the whole journey? Is if he became the lightning bolt, and as he's running back to himself, you see this like clip of all of the different moments as he's going back through time. And we're seeing like all the highlights of the Flash, Legends, Arrow, all of it, like everything they built. And then it's like, oh, back to
now when he's running, does he destroy the Earth that Gotham Knights takes place on? I just need to know if
why not?
Okay, thank you. Then I will accept this.
He actually was like, hold on, guys. Before I wrap up this, he just goes and just ends it.
You guys have not even seen the show yet.
I've seen it.
You have not seen it.
Oh my! Gramps Flash using his cosmic walker. That's amazing.
Yes, and one of the flashbacks has to be "We Are the Flash."
Yes, it has to be. But the idea of Batwoman technically getting a resolution, we don't know if she's getting a resolution in season 9 of The Flash. She's just appearing because of a certain
Wednesday.
Exactly. Tune in. Yeah, someone from another Earth, and Legends is not getting a conclusion. That's not happening.
All you have to say is just, well, we'll get a conclusion to the Batwoman thing just by her pure existence and being here.
Sure.
I mean, whatever happened could have easily have been cleared up in a day. We just need a toss away line.
Yeah, they're just confirming that she's still out there.
And Legends bringing her into so much stuff. You could just give me a throwaway.
You know what? Because the Legends got themselves in that. The Legends writers got into that incident themselves. It's not Eric's job to fix their mistakes. So you know what? But again, you guys made some. I may have asked him some stuff about Legends. So, you know, Wednesday, 9 p.m. on DC Pocket's YouTube channel.
I'm just saying, like, I would be content. I know a lot of people wouldn't, but I'd be content if there was just like a news article in the background and there's nothing, no attention drawn to it at all. And it's just like, Legends escape from prison or some shit.
Because they're wanted fugitives?
I guess. Why not? It's not the first time.
I agree, Defunk. What is there's nothing to conclude. There's nothing, because Batwoman, they wrapped up their season finale because
the only thing was radioactive zombie guy. That's it.
Yeah,
that's all. It's not like she was like in prison. There was this big thing. It was just like, who the fuck that?
Yeah, Ruby Rose coming back. So thank you for the super chat. So thoughts on Mongol being the villain for the Tomorrowverse? Well, he's not the villain of the Tomorrowverse. He's just the villain of the next movie.
Huh?
World. Like we're getting World. So
Is that a
Mongol.
Tomorrowverse? I thought that was like its own spinoff.
No, that's connected. It's a part of the Tomorrowverse, and
I like World.
Yeah,
World.
And so
God,
like
it's a hard word. I fumbled too.
I like World.
And this is the first time,
well.
and this is the 7th movie in the new continuity, and it's going to have our first actual appearance of all the Justice League together, essentially. So, I mean, it's cool, but obviously Mongol is not the end-all be-all. This is just this is just leading up to bigger threats.
I still want to meet the Wonder Woman of this universe.
I feel like they're going to do that.
It's the same. I would assume it's the one. Well, no.
But it's Earth
when
2.
They went back in time. Yeah,
that was Earth 2.
I thought it was the past. No,
I think it might.
I'm so confused.
I felt like a fucking idiot when they're like, this is not your Earth. This is a different universe. I'm like, oh damn it, Barry! I should have known. The trailer tricked me.
And it was, and honestly,
I keep forgetting that was the case.
That was a great movie. That was a great film.
That's one of my favorite. Like Superman of Tomorrow, Legion, JSA, and then everything else. Those are my favorites.
I mean, I like The Long Halloween more than any of the other.
Oh, The Long Halloween's good stuff. I mean,
Tomorrowverse stuff.
I love it a lot because of Jensen Ackles being Batman.
Mm-hmm.
That shit is hot. Oh no, what have I done? At this point, I've accepted and he's hypnotized me with watching his interview with Eric Walls on Wednesday. Listen. Don't I always deliver when I do these interviews? Listen, I asked a lot of hard questions. We were grilling Eric. We definitely did. And I think there's going to be some answers that we obviously couldn't put out today because they were spoilers. By the way, count how many times Eric accidentally goes, oh, that's a spoiler. Like, I literally, here's the tease. We're not even 10 minutes into the thing. And he says, oh, geez, that was almost a spoiler. And I just cackle at him. I'm like, Eric, we're not even 10 minutes in. We're not even 10 minutes into this thing. So count how many, it's a drinking game. 1 hour long interview. Thank you, Jake.
Thank you, Jake. Did you know the first Justice League animated series has a tribute to Kevin Conroy? I didn't know that. Also, the shows they said would leave HBO Max are still there. Are they?
Can you let me pull up the app?
Because
I saw.
But did they say when they were leaving?
January 31st. Or
but
February
it's February.
1st.
But it's February 3rd.
But that's when they said they were going to be. I know Batman, the Brave, and the Bold was supposed to be. It's still there.
Oh, here's the thing: if they took up Brave and the Bold the day after they announced the damn movie, God, I would be like, one of your unlimited idiots.
Oh wait a minute! Oh yeah, so Justice League Unlimited's still there. I'm trying to think, what else did they say was part of that?
The other Justice League show.
They're both there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Animated series, Batman animated series.
Oh, let me see. I think I just saw it too. Yes, that's still there too. I don't know. Maybe they had a second thought. Maybe they went no. I don't know. The first episode of the original Jail NBC says Conroy treatment. I gotta go watch that. I want to see that tribute.
That's so sweet. That's sweet.
Nice.
R says, you better have asked about Gotham Knights or I'm subscribing. That's right. Lives and Endless Multiverse in your hands now, Andy. Eric and I, we did not talk about Gotham Knights. We did talk a little bit about Superman Lois. But you have to tune in on Wednesday. And I can tell you guys right now, you're not getting a word out of me about what I thought about Gotham Knights because I'm on embargo. But I've seen 6 episodes.
Did you see my response on Twitter, the GIF I posted on your tweet? I responded as a GIF.
Let me see.
I had to.
When can you talk about it?
In a couple of weeks. Let me see.
Yeah, because
when's it come out?
March
14th.
Yeah, when it's
Jordan. Jordan, this tweet is so over. This GIF is so over the top.
No, it's accurate.
I will say. Let me read my email from them. Let me see what.
What can I legally say?
What's surprising is that they sent screeners out for the show, and it's over a month away. Usually, they don't do that. Like, I don't know. I mean, obviously, it's a very different situation. But Netflix, I mean, they normally don't send screeners out until about a week or so before something drops, or 2 weeks, depending on if it's available or ready. So it's kind of crazy they sent out what they can. You can't say nothing.
This is what I can say. I think the CW butchered the marketing for the show. I feel it
par for the course.
I mean, it's but
don't get yourself in trouble.
I'm not gonna get my
I know, but like I don't want you to accidentally.
I'm recording.
Don't shit, Sherlock. I can see it right there in the left corner. I think a lot of people are gonna be surprised. I think that the marketing is not doing it justice. But I'm not saying also saying that it is out of this world. But like, there's a reason it made me binge all 6 episodes this week. Normally, I kind of pace myself, but there's a hook. So, Jake, we don't do. Sadly, we don't really do for TV shows that often. Ryan might.
It did happen for Velma.
For Velma, yeah, but I think it all. I think I don't want to speak on behalf of my company or the outlet that I work for, but it wouldn't. It wouldn't.
Thank you, Canada. Thank you so much.
Okay, you can start the chat. CG, can you come in here for a second? I need you to explain something about Superman Lois. Boys. They might do some. They might do something for Gotham Knight. I don't know, but they normally Ryan doesn't do a lot of TV shows, from my understanding. But
if I can, there he is. Okay.
Is got this I can give an answer to. Yes.
There, I sent it to him.
Yes.
Wait, what?
Is Gotham Knight better than you? I can say yes.
Naomi was the only time I recorded a reaction and never posted it.
Aww.
Really?
Yeah,
you
I was like,
the pilot?
I hate this so much.
Okay, let's
I know for myself, whatever my response is for Gotham Knights the Pot, I'm going to react to it. I'm going to check it out. I have to.
Well, at this point, like, if you overhate it, I'm gonna know that you're just putting on a face, like, because it is not where I think it's not what you think it's gonna be. Again, like, it makes they make Inhumans look worse.
Well, Inhumans is already a dumpster fire, so that's
but the thing was, but you're missing the point. It was a Marvel Studios produced show with a IMAX budget, and they still found a way to fuck it up. The Teen Titans anime movies made me like you know what? That's a good point. I love those Teen Titans movies, and because the thing is, Damien actually progresses throughout those movies. So that's why I'm like, if they can do that with Damien, because if he's just gonna be the same little brat, they're just like, I'm too good I am too good for my father. I want to be like my grandfather, Ra's al Ghul.
We did.
No comment.
I know the truth. So what you're saying is Archie and the gang from Riverdale kill Bruce Wayne in the show.
Now that would be fucking hot.
Yeah, Archie.
Listen, I mean, Archie's a good-looking dude.
The latest trailer, I'll be honest, like it didn't look as bad as the first trailer did. But yeah, I don't, even if it turns out to be good, I don't know if I can garner the interest to stick around on the CW past Superman and Lois anymore.
Yeah. Oh my god. It's the Scooby Gang. The Scooby Gang kills Bruce Wayne.
Lloyd says James Gunn just said he spoke to Jim Lee and DC commented to restock the comics. I'm so happy. I'm so happy people are buying them. And hopefully this will also increase sales subscriptions for DC Universe Infinite, because those books that he mentioned are on that streaming platform.
Thank you, Canada, for the breaking news. I didn't know that.
The Injustice series made me dislike Damien for a while, mainly because he killed my second favorite comic book character, aka Dick Grayson.
Yeah.
Oh shit, he did. Yeah. Let's see, what other questions do we have? I highly doubt they're gonna use the John Williams theme song. And also, we need to move on. We need to move on from this score. I love it. Jesus. It's iconic. I am Jesus. But no, if this happens, Spider, I will no. Tom Holland can get no. Could you imagine like a beefed up Tom Holland being like, "I'm Superman."
He's like 6 feet shorter than everybody.
Jesus.
I would pay money for that. No, I would pay literal gold for that. I love that this is like everyone is like really dragging Chris Pratt. Like he cannot be boosted gold. Let's see, what other questions do we have? Are you seeing anything, Jordan, that you want us to point out?
I'm just saying, I saw a tweet on here that's interesting. What if Kevin Feige pulls an ultimate boss move and does a film with the Squadron Supreme and has Henry Cavill, Ben Affleck, and Gal Gadot as Hyperion, Nighthawk, and Power Princess?
That would be hilarious.
That would be the biggest fuck you to Warner Brothers ever.
I think that'd be awesome. I wouldn't care. I wouldn't care. I wouldn't care if it would piss off Warner Brothers for them to pulling that shit. It don't matter. We know that Ben and Henry are done playing those characters.
We know they need to play.
That would be great.
Listen.
Canograph. I love saying Henry Cavill Superman. That's a great idea.
That's hot.
Interesting.
Okay, let's talk about this.
Into Paris Hilton.
Anyway, the only thing I'm worried about is how they're going to fit video games into all this. They could get complicated. Cartoons could work. Errors that they would fix it, and Freedom Fighter. Well, apparently, so James Gunn did come out and clarify a little bit more what he meant with the way the video games are going to tie in to the universe. Is that apparently the video games will take place in between, like, let's say Superman Legacy 1 and Superman Legacy 2, for example. So it won't be like the movie, like it won't be like it's in the same time frame as the first movie, which I like. That's more doable for me.
And you can just kind of have fun. It's not do stuff that's not going to impact the films too much. Just play in the world.
Like that's why, because I hate Superman Returns the movie, but that Superman Returns video game, I gotta say that was not half bad.
And also,
it wasn't Superman 64.
Yeah.
God,
the whole idea of like video games, like, so.
Because you were angry, Jordan, about this when this first came out.
Well, because it's too. You're basically asking a video game company to meet a release date that they most likely cannot hit.
Yeah.
Because video games constantly get delayed all the damn time, and so. If they need to have a game like say a Superman game that is between Superman 1 and 2 to come out at a certain time, it's not feasible. It's not feasible. It just because schedules change all the time.
Somebody asked him about that today. He responded in a tweet about it, talking about it was like you don't seem to understand the time frames that it takes for games to be made. And he's like, it sounds like he's planned out where these games are going to come out, because he was saying like. He's giving them like 4 years to air, give or take, which is still kind of tight for a AAA title.
Yeah, and obviously things like what if like something happens in the writing process of a movie that would affect the game, and they have to go and change something, and that's going to cost more time to make a shift if they have to make a change in something.
Yeah,
I mean, to me it's too convoluting. I think the idea of having animated live action TV and film, that is completely fine. They can make that work. It's a better structure because it's under a production schedule in terms of a studio. You're asking a video game company that have lots of problems. A lot of them have a lot of issues when they're making their games, and it's really well noted of how much time consuming it is. I mean, giving them plenty of time, it doesn't matter because something could still go wrong. And who's to say these games are going to be good? Because they don't have control of the quality. All they have to rely on is hopefully the quality is good from these people that they're working alongside with. They're not like James Gunn is not in control of the production of a game. He can't oversee and do all this stuff. He has to rely on other people. And I get that's the whole thing about movies and TV in general, but it's a very different medium.
Though.
It's a very different medium.
I'm sure he can consult to the higher ups at Warner Bros. And be like, let's say if I think it's a given that they should just go with Rocksteady. Although given what's supposedly coming about Suicide Squad, it's
Okay,
ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce them.
Well, take
Ladies
off
and
the
gentlemen,
thing.
joining us from California, Burbank Studios, it is the one and only public relations manager of Discovery News, Canagraphs.
Where'd you guys come from?
We just came.
How did you get
the
into
wall.
my phone? Hey, Ami.
What up?
I see you brought a couple of guests along with you. That's nice.
Yeah.
Can you introduce them to me?
Beard guy and Paris Hilton.
Paris Hilton?
Yeah.
I've never seen her with dark hair before. Interesting.
No, not Perez Hilton.
Perez, not Terry.
Why do I
don't know which is worse, to be honest.
I cannot believe I got slammed with wow. I'm not like Perez Hilton at all. I'm actually offended.
I don't know. I think we need a counter on how many times you said that's hot today.
That's true. Like at least
I've only heard about 15 minutes of the entire thing, and I heard it at least twice.
Oh, so wait, so because that dipshit said hot, that somehow like he has ownership of it?
Yes.
Like then I'd rather be Paris Hilton. Like, oh my god, that's so hot. CG, how you doing today?
Tired and sore. I went to a set today. It was out in the woods at the same park that Flash set a couple of weeks ago was at. And yeah, it was exhausting.
Did you meet did you have a talk with the squirrel?
Yes, I did actually, because it wanted some of my cheesies. And I tried telling it that it's not good for it.
Did it follow you around like?
Yes, for like 2 minutes before it realized I'm not giving it any.
Oh, that was so funny when he took said photos of it was from a controversial episode of Arrow, and then like the gal just ends.
Oh, was that the one where they killed off Laurel Lance because they didn't really need the character anymore because her story was done? Oh, hey, Chainsaw, I didn't see you there.
Wait, hold on. You're telling me she had a story?
Oh,
they
butchered that story. They butchered that story. They had so many years of comics to pull from, and they went, "Fuck it, let's just have her be a druggie and shit."
You know what?
I've been here for 2 minutes, and I've made a tire fire out of this.
This is the best step still. Well. He ran out of story. Bitches.
But yes, it was that same park, and it might have even been the same squirrel. I can't say for certain.
Ooh, fuck. There you go.
Well, at least they got paid for the Batgirl film.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
CG, there's a reason I asked you to come on. James Gunn should not have said anything about Superman Lois, but remind everyone about the situation with the city of Vancouver and the production.
City of Surrey? You do this every time. You're like, City of Vancouver. I'm like, different cities. But
because
okay.
every time I say survey, and I can't say it properly, so I'd rather you correct me than you say City of Survey.
Okay, I will tell the pieces that I know to be fact, and then I will tell pieces that I have been told by people in the film industry. So the known to be fact is the city of Surrey has a 3-year lease to Superman and Lois on the Smallville downtown studio, with the promise that they could get another 3-year lease. To the best, I Googled it like not even like 3 days ago to see if any update I could find anywhere. I've found no paperwork saying there's been an addition to that. Now that said, maybe that's one of those things that's just like, yep, it's approved. Just go ahead and we'll worry about it later. But as of last search I have, there's nothing saying they have that studio anymore. The other two things I have been told by people who have so far been accurate about everything else they've ever told me are both about Superman and Lois, and that is one, their actual studio, which is in Richmond, which is just down the road, like closer to the airport.
The city of Richmond?
Yeah, it's across the river from Vancouver. It has a 5-year lease. So that, in theory, they technically still have for a couple more years. Now, the other thing I was told was about the Kent farm. The owners there are apparently trying to needle for more money for the next round. So I was thinking of this. I might have even talked with Andy about it. I can't remember.
Yeah, you did tell me, but I wasn't.
But I know I've talked with someone, and I was like, yeah, I'm like, I don't know if they lose the Surrey studio and they lose the Kent farm, maybe they move to Metropolis.
What scenes do they shoot in Surrey? What sets that?
That's the entire downtown Smallville studio, like all the exterior downtown Smallville.
Just the Gazette, the little restaurant the diner always hang out at. So
yeah, like anything interior would be done in the studio, but the exterior, like when they're walking on the street, all of that is at that studio. It's like the length of like 3 city blocks long. Like they've built up just the wood out frame and nothing behind it. Mm-hmm. So yeah,
that's an interesting thing there to say they could move to Metropolis if they lose out on the Kent farm and Smallville.
Well, that's my own logic in it, because if they don't have these Smallville pieces, what do?
It's interesting because I mean it could be a major shift in the direction of the show in terms of,
but also it also ruins the pilot, because the reason they even went back to the farm was because he wanted to maintain his parents' legacy and their farm after Martha dies. So it's like, like I don't buy a Clark that would just suddenly go like, I mean, fuck it, let's just go back to Metropolis. Like that is out of character for Superman. So
we are going intergang, so them being in Smallville feels a little weird.
Well, but also, CG. Also, did you see what was reported today on the whole report about the $5 million?
Yes, yeah. I didn't read it, but I did see it. Like a couple people tweeted it at me, and I saw the headline. I haven't read the article.
That's all it said. It's like you sort of say that Superman Lois cost about $5 million per episode.
It doesn't surprise me. One day of work on one set takes probably about 100 people working, sometimes as many as 150 to 200 people working. You think at 8 hours a day, anywhere from $15 an hour to $70 an hour, depending what their job is, just for the production of one day, that's got to be probably several $100,000 just for the production, let alone the actors' salaries. Let alone the editing afterwards. So $5 million to me doesn't surprise me.
Do you think James Gunn should just not have said anything?
Because
I think you talked about.
You mean about the part where he said, I think it's got 1 or 2 more years?
Yeah.
No, I think it's fine, because he can get out of this. He can get out of this a couple ways, and I think I've already explained this before, is if at the end of the season they decide we can't do Superman without Smallville and we don't have the studio anymore, and they're like, okay, we're just going to scrap Superman at the end of season 3, he can go into the technicality of, I didn't say 1 or 2 more years on top of season 3. I said 1 or 2 more years. Season 3 is one of those 2 years. So he's kind of got a safety net that he could say season 3, 4, or 5 were the seasons he was talking about.
Yep. What's that?
So that's my theory on an out he could have there.
I mean, for me, I would love it if they could have, like, if they don't get another season, at least give them like another episode or 2 to film, just to kind of give a proper finale. And just end it with as like a serious finale. But yeah, like this is all very scary. Jordan, don't make fun of him. Let him type. What was I going with this?
I don't know where
I
you're
mean,
going.
Annie, the show has come up with retcons and bad explanations, and none of it, and most times, it's not adequate. But Clark wouldn't just up and leave Smallville and just after he fought so hard to keep the farm. Like,
To be fair, they could work out a deal for the farm, but all this stuff happens in Metropolis. Like they still
I
live in
guess,
Smallville.
but
Maybe the kids still go to the school or
this is
something.
I think it's more for CG. Wouldn't Metropolis setting cost more too? Because
Yes,
it would be more like in the
it
city.
would. It would, in theory, cost more. I think one of the things that could happen is you see a lot more interior sets being done at the studio, and they still do the exteriors, but maybe they don't do them in downtown Vancouver. Like, I know you guys. I mean, I know Omni's been to Vancouver, but I know you guys haven't. We have several other good-sized cities around Vancouver that might be cheaper to film in, like Surrey, Richmond, a couple of places like that, where you can still get a little bit of a Metropolis feel in some parts of it for, one or two set pieces. Might be cheaper in those cities to film some of the stuff there. And then Vancouver, just for the 1 to 3 times a year, they need a massive set piece. Like we have Vancouver, Burnaby, Richmond, Coquitlam, Surrey. We have 5 cities that have 200,000 people or more size cities. So it's not like Vancouver's the only place here. Vancouver's probably the most expensive place out of them. But they could film some of it in, parts of Burnaby or parts of Surrey to cut down the cost.
Burnaby,
Now,
was that where some of the small TV show filmed it? Or was that that was British Columbia, right?
Yep. No, yeah, Burnaby, you're correct. That day when I showed you where the studio was on Google Maps,
yeah.
that was in Burnaby. Yeah.
British
Well,
Columbia is the entire province.
Mhm.
Aiden asks, why not just move to Lois and another network? Why would they? Okay, so if we're talking about broadcast network, none of the other 4 are going to pay for Sumo Lois the way it's been performing. The show is there. If Warner Brothers see this, fuck it, I don't care. I think Warner Brothers is actually losing money on Sumo Lois.
Really?
I think they are. I think $5 million per episode, and for the number that it gets, they better be really. They better hope some of those HBO Max numbers come in. Those HBO Max numbers better be really high.
I think you got to think of several other factors besides just HBO Max and the CW.
DC.
International broadcasting. I don't know where it's carried in England. I have no idea where it's carried in Australia or Sweden.
Sure
they all pay individual.
On some places.
No, Superman and Lois I don't think is on Netflix, maybe anywhere.
Nickelodeon.
Oh,
Nickelodeon.
This house live coming down. I'm like, Gene Carter, gotta go. Wait, what? No, wait. No, they would not pick it up.
Sci-fi has no money. Sci-fi, like I have a pile of curly fries here, and that is that's like the sci-fi budget.
That's not wrong.
I'm aware.
Yeah, spending so much on Sumo Lois is ridiculous in my opinion. Yeah, that's why I actually like. No, I shouldn't say that. Never mind. Give him a proper finale.
But when you see them saying $5 million for an episode of Superman and Lois, we have no idea what that fully entails. That could include negotiating rights to to air it on the CW. That could include money put into promotion.
It sounded like that sounded like it was like including their licensing fee, which James, we talked about it a couple of months ago that they are reportedly lowering to as little as $1 or underneath $1 million.
Yeah. And I mean, and the fact is, we just heard this week that they've created a whole division of non-scripted programming. They have a whole division just focused on the reality show.
That entire channel will be that in 2 or 3 years tops.
Yeah. So
but it's not unheard of for studios to essentially basically give their product away for free, knowing that they will make money off it on the back end in other ways. Like I know 2 examples off the top of my head. a TV show called Fringe that filmed here. Fox kept kind of saying to them, like, I don't know if we can do that. I don't know if we can do that. Each year, their licensing fee got cheaper and cheaper. And then on the final season, because they were to get to 100 episodes, they were going to need one more season. They gave it to Fox for free to get them to the 100 episodes because they knew on the back end they would make the money back. And then another example is Person of Interest was on CBS, but it wasn't a CBS property. So they twice had to keep lowering the rate more and more and more for CBS to keep it on the air, even though it was their number 2 show on the network. Because CBS was like, why wouldn't we put our own property here and get all the revenue? And they're like, okay, we'll give it to you for cheaper. So It's not unheard of for a show to practically give away their product to get it back on the back end.
This is so true. You could make so many unscripted shows with the super lowest budget.
Yeah. That $5 million could go to many unscripted shows.
The Real Housewives of Arrowverse, The Real Husbands of Arrowverse, the Real Housewives of Riverdale.
They could do a whole show about ships. They could have Felicity fans and West Allen fans fight it out.
Well, I didn't know what you meant at first. I was like, I
figured he was going with. I figured he was going with the ships. Yeah,
they can have like a reality show contest where all of them get in like an American Gladiator type situation to fight for which ship is the best. And that way they can keep their old fans. They can keep the fans that they allegedly think are the only ones they have, and still have content that's cheap.
And then they can also have like a battle for between the ships for the fandoms of the ship that doesn't even exist, like Snowberry.
I mean, Snowberry's a real thing, I thought.
It sounds more like an ice cream flavor than anything. And Scott wants to ask Canada, did you hear about Matt Letcher and Jessica Parker Kennedy returning?
I did. I was standing. No, I did not. I was standing at a flash set when I found out.
What did you see?
Do you really want to know? It's kind of spoilery, but a little weird too.
Wait, maybe you're dropping it as your Patreon exclusive, right?
It'll be on Patreon later.
Okay,
tonight,
then everyone go check out his Patreon.
Yes.
We have a super chat from the amazing webhead.
Thank you.
A.K. Tom Holland. No, I'm kidding. Following the soft reboot for DC, I think Gunn is taking notes from the Halloween films where its actors and the characters are the same but different stories.
Well, essentially, like where the Halloween 2018 brought back Laurie Strode, the original Laurie Strode, but was getting rid of obviously everything after the first Halloween film was not canon. It kind of, but the thing is, it's not like it's the same Michael Myers, Laurie Strode from the first film all this time later, but that's not what he's doing here. It's not like we have Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck and they're just playing newer versions sometime later. We're getting rid of a lot of these actors and keeping
it's
some.
A whole world reset. Like the past is even different for a lot of them.
Yeah, I think that's why they're doing Paradise Lost, the prequel Wonder Woman series, because they're going to establish a different Themyscira than what we saw in Wonder Woman 1 and 2.
Right.
So, yeah.
What was I going to say? Well, obviously Ezra Miller is going to stay. It's Defunct says, I don't think it's tragic to end Lois. Free good season would be a decent legacy, right in the cause and climate leading to it becoming crap like so many have. I mean, that's not a bad thought.
I just saw this on Twitter. I don't know how accurate this is, but DC Studios heads James Gunn and Peter Safran reportedly ruffled feathers with Warner Brothers executives with some of their candid comments during this week's DCU announcement event. Well,
who said? Where did that come from?
Yeah, what's the source?
Well, the article I'm seeing is from the Direct. I'm not sure what they're sourcing. I'm actually looking at it now. I'm just reading what the tweet said. I'm looking here.
I've been hearing a lot about the Direct in the last couple of months. I still don't know much.
I don't know. They just came out of. I felt they just came out of nowhere.
They're not. I don't see where they're actually sourcing.
Okay. I have. I can read. I can read for everyone. According to Hall Reporter's latest newsletters, newsletter. DC Studios CEOs James Gunn and Peter Safran have reportedly managed to ruffle some feathers with certain Warner Bros. Discovery executives due to the recent comment about the old DC regime. The newsletter points out that among the slew of comments Gunn and Safran have already made about the previous management of DC universe, some were, quote unquote, not exactly tactful. The report stated that some of those from the old regime are still now in charge of Warner Bros. Discovery, and, quote unquote, there have been quite a few ruffled feathers. The DC Studios duo are described by THR as movie makers and, quote unquote, not corporate. Unlike other executives who, quote unquote, either toe the company line, express generic and general statements, or retweet praise, Gunn has been doing things his way by swatting down Twitter rumors and even holding fun polls for fans. Speaking to journalists at the private DCU Slate reveal event, Gunn criticized DC's past as pretty messed up and noted how Warner Bros. Was, quote unquote, giving away IPs like they were party favors. But that's the thing, that's exactly what they were doing.
I mean, and
Yeah,
the
but
thing
it's
is,
He's
like
not wrong.
No, he's not wrong, but they also, it's not the PR as a corporate exec you really want out there, even if we know it's true. You don't need your new CEO being too honest.
yeah, I mean, I think basically it's like this. They're upset because he was being honest and maybe not in the best way, but he was being truthful. Let's be honest. DC was all over the damn place in the last number of years. So he's not wrong. Did he go too far with some of his words saying that it's fucked up and shit? Yeah. But I think that's the reason why James Gunn was hired, because he's out of left field and that David Zaslav hired him. So
I think they didn't have an idea exactly that he'd be that like upfront about everything. They probably were kind of like, okay, we got this guy. Everyone knows his name. Blah 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 blah. You know, he might be a little blunt sometimes, but we can handle it. Now they're kind of like, maybe he's more blunt than we were.
I think James and Peter will be. I mean, more James and Peter, but Peter said some stuff too. I feel like they'll be pulled back and said, you got to be more careful with your wording. I feel like they're not going to get in trouble by this, obviously, because I feel like this was a massive success in terms of their announcement. And yeah, some of their words were harsh, but also it's stuff that fans have been saying for years in terms of what has been happening with DC. So it's not like James said some stuff that no one agrees with, you know, but
I get from their standpoint too, like, how's this make us look or whatever. But like,
that's true.
I think that's like, but like, that kind of talk is kind of what we want to hear. Maybe they don't want that out in the ether, but that made me feel good having somebody actually fucking acknowledge it.
Yeah, the fact is too, they said they're not towing they're not like normal executives. They're not towing the company line. Well, they don't have to. You know?
Yeah, here's the thing. At the end of the day, I think a lot of people, especially in like the fan side, don't understand is when they hire someone to be in that job, like Gunn and Safran are in now, they're hiring someone who their assumption is they'll appease the public with some half-ass answers that kind of sort of give an answer, but where they really are supposed to do their real work is with the investors, and they're supposed to tell the investors, this is all going well. Everything's perfect. No flaws here. And they're kind of right now, they're looking at it like, James, investors are probably looking at this thinking we're a tire fire. And that's probably, they're more mad about that than the fact that fans are hearing about it, because they don't care about the fans. They care about investors.
Yeah.
We are nothing but dollar bills to them.
Everything is awesome.
Everything is awesome. Here's what I will say. For me, I think what's also about to happen, I think James Gunn and Peter Safran are probably going to head back into some media PR training, because that's something this studio
they're probably
is
going
very...
to get a little
slap on the wrist.
Yeah.
Now that's not hot.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have a super chat from
Big Daddy Zaslav is going to just bend him over his knee and just
don't rile Andy up like that.
and then Daddy Zaz is going to go.
Wow, you have seriously leveled up.
Look at those red butt cheeks. We have a super chat from Joy Point Jake, and I think this is a challenge that Jordan needs to do personally. Google the Suicide Squad Killer Croc actor, try to say his name.
All right. Also, I think, guys, we're going to wrap it up because we've been going a lot longer than
Oh,
normal.
Jesus. I didn't realize how long
we've been going for way too long.
How time flies by.
Yeah, when I was on the bus, you guys were already like an hour and something into it. I'm like, oh well, I guess I'm gonna miss most of it. And then I got home and you're still going.
You were like,
Ottaway, I have no idea. Ottaway, can you something? I have no idea.
You have failed this pronunciation.
I did. I'm so happy that, by the way, that he's saying that word again. He's saying that phrase again in the Flash.
I don't know where you get this from. Who? I mean, have you seen the episode?
No, but it was in your description. It was in your description.
Hey, I've been told by the internet that I'm unreliable, so I don't know, man.
Unreliable. You are.
What do you mean Tom Ellis was on the Crisis set? I felt so bad because I'm like, everyone is eating him up, but I know it is true. I asked one of my, I just remember the story. I asked one of my soldiers, I'm like, hey, are you guys really gonna go out of your way to make him look bad when he has proof? And they're like, I mean, he shouldn't have run his mouth. I'm like, it's a free country. He's under contract.
Yeah.
Hey, in the end, they're the ones that look like idiots. They made Tom Ellis look like an idiot. They had Tom Ellis go on Entertainment Tonight and tell the world, no, I'm not in it. And a month later, he had to go back and be like, I lied.
Can you, CD, there's a question for you.
Andrew Garfield's definitely not in Spider-Man.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
And the fact is, he was promoting Tick Tick Boom, I think. Yeah. And then unfortunately, Toby, he didn't have anything to promote before the film, so he wasn't getting bombarded with questions.
Fortunately, that he didn't have anything to promote because he was good. I would have killed myself if I had.
I mean, Toby was like able to dodge a lot of shit because he wasn't out and about and promoting shit, but Andrew Garfield was everywhere, and they're like, so we hear. He's like, okay.
I am the werewolf. I am
the Spider-Man.
Yes, I'm not in the Spider-Man. It doesn't matter who we are.
What do you want? Okay, we have a new. We have another super chat. Who do you want as the villain for Brave and the Bold? Clayface, Man-Bat, Coral Owls. I didn't see it until I read it. I would love to see Man-Bat. I think it's time because again, it fits also with the gods and monsters theme. And I don't know what it is, but a lot of former Batman projects has been trying to do Man-Bat for a lot of years. So this could be the one.
I say
Man-Bat is popular over there.
In Son of Batman. Yeah. I mean, they had the League of Assassins create those Man-Bat army. But
yeah,
if this is his introduction to Damian, I would like it to be something connected to the League, or maybe like
I'm so sick of the League, though. I feel we've seen so much of the League.
Like somebody jaded over Damian's existence. So like you could have Bane, you could have Deathstroke,
it's Bane.
Oh my God, this is so terrible the way I'm doing this.
Chainsaw playing Bane in Brave with the Book.
It doesn't matter who we are. What matters is we're getting a new Batman. Yes, Batman.
Oh, Jesus, that's so good.
Yes.
I would love Walter Hamada.
Oh, thank you, Joypad. Thank you, Joypad. It doesn't matter who we are.
All right, I'm in a second going to be sending Chainsaw an exclusive pic from today's set.
Do we just show it, or can I just look at it?
Sure.
I will. You're seeing me on Twitter.
Yeah.
Okay.
As soon as I get Twitter open, I had to close my entire computer down and then open it back up, so it's taken a second.
I'm ready for this.
I'm not the one who did anything wrong, so I can't get in trouble for this.
Well, let's see what it is first. Hold on. I'm still waiting for my computer to catch up to me. There we go. Okay, now I figured out what I'm doing. Okay, where did it go? An exclusive image.
Yep.
Everybody,
this is from today's set. I don't know what you'll make of it, but you should have it in your inbox now.
I'm gonna
It's
put up
blurry
right
as fuck.
now. I'm turn.
It's blurry.
What do you mean? Looks
It's a
perfectly fine.
I knew
Yeah,
he was gonna
it's so
tell me.
It's just a blurry
Fine.
image. It's a blurry image. It ain't nothing. He just drew Candagraphs really crappy on the picture. That's blurry as hell. That's all he did.
Patreon.com.
But that is the set. That is the set.
Yeah, he's not lying about that.
Yeah.
Patreon.com/Canadagraphs
You just go to Patreon, guys, and support him.
/Canada.
Yeah,
I might have them up. I might have them up in the next couple hours, but probably maybe like 4 or 5 hours max. I just gotta go through and
Canada, you can confirm this is happening, right? This is what you took a picture of?
I cannot confirm nor deny any things that happened on or off the set during or after or before then.
Jesus. Okay, guys, we've been going for almost 3 hours. It has been a long episode. Apologies to everybody who are like, "Are you guys?" Because I saw somebody say, "You guys are still going." Yes. So
Who the fuck said that?
someone said, "You guys are still here." I forget. Who it
Fake
was.
news, guys. This is a fig Newton of your imagination.
We can go as however long we want.
Yeah, it's now midnight my time. So I want to thank, of course, Omni and Breaking News Candagraphs for being here on this episode. We appreciate you guys being here. We had, of course, a long discussion about DC. Hope you guys go back and watch the episode if you guys are tuning in now or later. We covered all the DC projects one by one. And as you guys know, we always end on this note. We have to play the clip. Everyone get ready for this amazing 10 out of 10 clip. Look at Nora at the beginning. Look at all the things. It's glorious. Gracie, Cicada, take it away.
Metas killed your parents, Gracie. They all deserve to die.
Don't believe him, Grace.
Don't believe him, Gray. Don't believe him.
Grace. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. We will see you guys next week with episode 47. Bye, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.